Yes, testing 1, 2. Mic 1, 2. Can I get a drum check? Guitar is bass. Can I have a little more of me in the monitor, please? Oh, awesome.
Hello, everyone. Let me tweet out real quick.
Welcome everyone to the Digital Learning Channel this afternoon. We're a couple minutes early here. I love seeing everybody just streaming, filling the chat with where you're from. It is an amazing afternoon. My name's Jim Unger with JCPS Digital Innovation. Our first show this afternoon is going to be Stephen Durham from Zone 3 and Daniel Washburn from High School Zone 5. Welcome everyone to the Digital Learning Channel. And I did not mute myself over here. So this is why. All right, and they're going to be talking about Screencastify and the amazing stuff that's going on with that, which I'm sure most of you know about at this point.
Welcome everybody.
Right there for a while, that was really weird, and I apologize for that. After that, we're going to have Jamboard for interactive whiteboards with Elaine Jabinatha and Matt Balka. Read and Write literacy tools with Kathleen Receiver and Rebecca Reynolds, two of our amazing fairy tech mothers. NTI 2.0 strategy toolkits and district portals going to be talked about by our very own loving mother, Heather Worrell. And then we have a Jamboard with Sarah Brock and Katie Wolf, and breakout rooms in Google Meet, some of the upcoming features we didn't get to talk about this morning, coming soon, and that'll be from Rebecca Reynolds and Steve and Danielle. How are you guys doing?
Doing good today. How are you, Jim?
I am rocking out. I love being on with my team for the rest of the afternoon. It's great.
So 12:30, let's do this. I'm Stephen Durham with the Digital Innovation Team, Zone 3, and I'm here today with Danielle Washburn. Danielle, what's going on with the hat? Is it your birthday or something?
No, it's not my birthday, but we do have exciting news. If you have not heard, did you ask what is that exciting news? Oh, yes.
What is the exciting news?
Right. That exciting news is that all JCPS employees receive unlimited Screencastify.
Unlimited.
What? Unlimited Screencastify. Guess who did that?
Who did that?
JCPS did that.
That's awesome.
They listened to us. They listened to their employees, their teachers, and they have given us unlimited version of Screencastify.
Well, Danielle, that's great, but like unlimited, you mean like I get it for a 6-week trial, unlimited, right?
No, not that.
Okay, so I can record. I used to be able to record 5 minutes. Now I can only record 10.
Even longer than 10.
Longer than that. But it has to have a cap on it. Like I can only make 50 videos this year, right?
You can make longer than 50 videos.
So it's like unlimited.
Unlimited. So you know what that means? You get a Screencastify Unlimited. You get a Screencastify Unlimited. Everyone gets Screencastify Unlimited.
That really is awesome. Like it was something teachers wanted. They need it for NTI, and now they got it. And so, yes, definitely a big win for JCPS and their teachers.
Yes. And while we are talking about that, let me go ahead and share my screen with everyone.
So they know they got Screencastify. Now let's make sure to show them how to use it.
Yes, I agree. So today we will talk about how to access the Screencastify extension in the Google Chrome browser. We will also learn how to record your screen and share that recording out with your students and families. And then lastly, we are going to talk about some helpful tips and tricks for creating online content. So those are our 3 main goals for today. So let's get started. Let me click show anyway. All right, so before that, let's talk about some of the standards. So we are aligning this to the National Quality Online Teaching Standards. So our first standard is standard B, the digital pedagogy. That is that standard how online teacher uses those tools to support communication. We also have standard D for learner engagement. So we still want to engage our students as we are teaching virtually. And then the last standard is standard H, instructional design. So how we are designing our lesson. If you have the link, and this presentation is linked to the schedule, you can click on that link. And then again, this is the National Quality Online Teaching Standards. It will give you the list of all of those standards available to you. Next, we are going to talk about how you can access that unlimited Screencastify version in your Google Chrome browser. So let me quit sharing. And I do apologize. I did forget to turn on the closed captioning. I think I was just so excited that we received unlimited version of Screencastify.
It is exciting, yes.
It is. So you do want to open up a Google Chrome browser just like this. It is not signed in. So
not Internet Explorer, not Safari, not Firefox. If you're using Screencastify, you got to go through the Google browser.
Correct. It has to be in the Google browser. So you want to click on, so if you have already signed in, you may, just like me, you see a picture of yourself, or you may see an initial. But what you want to do, you do want to click on that initial, and you want to click sign in, because again, you have to make sure this is your JCPS email and password. So you want to type in your JCPS email, click next, pick the account and type in your password and click sign in. So now you are signed in. Once you are signed in, you will see the Screencastify extension right here next to the toolbar. So that is how you can access the unlimited version, and it will tell you that you do have the unlimited version to Screencastify. And I do realize or see in the chat that some people purchased the Screencastify before JCPS gave us this great gift. But don't worry, because Screencastify is working on returning that to you. Whoop, whoop. All right.
Awesome.
Yes, it is. And again, everything is available to you in the Google presentation. So there is step-by-step directions right there, 1, 2, 3, and 4, that you can review on how you can access Screencastify. What is important right now is that Screencastify is only for teacher use. So it is only available for teacher use only. At this time, we cannot use, or students cannot use it to create videos.
That's great, Danielle. And like you said, I know when the news came out, people were really excited and they went looking for it. And some people had some problems, and we kind of narrowed it down. So Google browser, want to make sure you're on that. And then you have to be signed into that browser with your JCPS account information. And that's something maybe not everybody always does, is sign into their browser, but it's a great tool because your bookmarks will follow you around, your extensions will follow you around. So it's good to get in the habit of doing that. And that Bitly is out there to help people out.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. There was a couple of people asking that in the chat. They're not seeing the icon, and that's to make sure that you are in Chrome and make sure that you are logged into Chrome, the browser, not just the Google page, but the actual browser. And if you want to show them again what that icon looks like in the top right, D-Dub, they were asking about that also.
Yes. So as you can see right now, I am signed into the browser. So I do see myself twice. So this icon shows that I am signed in to, for example, my Google Drive or my Google Slides. The top icon means that I am signed in to my Google browser. So we do want to make sure that you are signed in to your Google browser. If for whatever reason you do not see it, you may click on the puzzle piece to see if for some other reason it is hidden down there. You see all of my extension that I have downloaded as well. And then, you know, tech, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you can click on the apps and then you can go to Web Store and search for Screencastify. And that will tell you if it is added or not. And if for whatever reason it's not added, you can go ahead and click on that and download it to Chrome. If all else fails, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Stephen Dern or someone on the digital innovation team.
Yes, we're happy to help. All right, so Jim, if you can switch it over to me, and you should see the student backpack team website displaying. And I'm actually going to take us through the steps of recording a Screencastify video.
You are up and running, Steve.
Thank you, Jim. All right, so as you can see, I am signed into my browser. And like I said, I actually went in and I put my photo. So you might have your photo, you might have your initial. If it's just that little person image, you're not signed in and you need to get signed in order to get unlimited. Right here is my extensions, and I'm going to go to the Screencastify one. It is the orange arrow with the camera. And I'm going to click on that. You will see Screencastify Unlimited right there. So let's look at the options we have for this. We have Browser tab. If I click on Browser tab, it's only going to record my current open Google tab. If I switched over to my Screencastify presentation, it will not be recording that anymore. It's going to keep recording only this tab, only this page. Which is good sometimes if you're just staying in one spot. But for a training like I'm going to do, I'm going to be hopping all over. So I'm going to record desktop. This is recording my whole desktop. So people will be able to see my tabs, my bookmarks, and everything that I might click to. Webcam only, this would be if you don't really have anything to show your students, but you want to record a video of you talking to your students. You can just do webcam only. Just use this to record a video. Or if you wanted to, maybe have a day where everybody's sharing their pet or sharing the book they're reading, you can do a webcam only and show that. So I'm going to leave mine on desktop. Now we have the microphone option. And again, these are just toggle buttons and it's toggled on. And as you can see, as I'm speaking, you'll see the green bar goes up and down. That lets me know it is picking up my voice. And if for some reason you don't see that happen when you do a sound check, just click here and select one of your microphones and see if that works for you. Now, embedded webcam. This is the one that you might want to kind of play with, sometimes have it on, sometimes have it off. If you're doing something where you want the students focused only on the work you are showing them, and you need to use the whole screen, you might not want the webcam embedded. But if you want them to see your face and be able to interact with you and have that like, oh, that's my teacher talking to me, you want to have that embedded webcam on, and you can choose where you put it. So for example, it might pop up in the bottom or top of your screen, and you can click and drag it once you start recording to make sure it's not covering up any of the information you might need. So these are the options we want to pick before we record. We also have show more options. And this is the countdown timer, and it will count down. You can choose if you want a 5-second countdown or a 10-second, you can choose that. And we also have show drawing tools. So it actually, you can draw on the video as you're recording it. If you want those drawing tools on, you can leave that on as well. It popped up earlier for me, and it's not now, which is interesting. But there was a tab here when I did a test that said audio tab. And so if you're actually going to play, like, let's say I was on a YouTube channel and I was playing a YouTube video, make sure to go to this hide options part, and you'll want to turn on that audio tab, so that will let it record. If there's audio on that page, it will actually record that audio as well. So I have all my settings. Oh, I did want to point out the hamburger right here. You can click on that. This will take you to your recordings. You have options, the editor. This is where you can edit it. And you have a couple other options if you need to sign out or switch accounts. But we want to stay in my Jefferson County account because that's unlimited. And then you can jump here to your recordings. Here's notifications, and you have settings. So that kind of covers, this is the whole Screencastify. This is what pops up when you click on that extension. So I'm on the, I'm going to talk about the student backpack team for a little bit. I have all my settings and I'm ready to record. So I'm going to click record, and you should see a 3-second countdown. So I'm going to choose that it's recording my entire screen and share. And there's 3, 2, 1, and I am recording. So I'm going to take this and move it right there, and that's a good spot for it. Hello, students. I'm here to talk to you about the student backpack team. Now, I know this year we're not going to be able to physically go out and help students with their JCPS digital backpack and help them with working in Google, but I was looking for some brave volunteers that would like to volunteer to set up a virtual backpack support team. So I'd like to share some of my ideas about how that might look, and then maybe we can discuss them later. So that was just an example of a short video I would share out with some of my students on the backpack team. Now, while it's recording, let me show you a couple of the tricks. I can pause the recording here on my little toolbar. Right here, this decides what you do with your cursor. So I'm going to click on that. You can have it to where it is a highlight circle. So right now it's on a highlight circle. So if I come down and I click on something, you will see it did that little red circle around it. So the students can kind of pay attention to where you're clicking. You can also come down and I can choose to hide the cursor when it's not moving. So if I leave my cursor right there and don't move it, it disappears from the page, so it won't be an interruption. And then if you want to have a focused mouse, this is like a spotlight. And then I can say, like, you know, look exactly right here at these bullet points, and the students can follow along with that. So let me get it back to normal, turn the spotlight off. If you're doing math, you can actually click on the pen option, and you can choose the color of pen you want, and you can go ahead and write right onto the recording as you're doing it. If you need to erase, there's the eraser. And another cool feature, if you want to, let's say I'm like, you know, I don't want the webcam on me anymore. You can go ahead and just click that and turn the webcam off. Or if you started one without the webcam, you could go ahead and add it back in. And like I said, you can move the webcam, and you can even click it and make it bigger if needed, or make it smaller. So you have a lot of customization there on those settings. So I've been recording this video. Now it's time for me to stop it. I could come down and stop here, but I'm going to show you the way I normally do it. I'm coming back up to my Screencastify icon in the extension. I'm going to click on it, move this box off, and I'm going to stop the recording.
And Stephen, as that is stopping, I do want to say, as you are recording, don't worry about if your dog barks in the background or if you have any weird noises, or even if you mess up during the recording, because Screencastify has a great editor that will allow you to erase those clips and put it all together in one nice piece. So that is a definite plus to Screencastify.
Great point, Danielle. Thank you. Now that I'm back, the first thing I'm going to do, because I always forget, is I'm going to title my video Student Backpack Team. And now if you look over here, I think you saw it was sharing, it was saving in my Google Drive, and not just in my Google Drive, but in a folder called Screencastify. Screencastify does all that for you. It puts your videos right in a Screencastify folder in your Google Drive. That's the great thing about being signed in with that JCPS sign in and having it tied to the Google domain. So now let's say I didn't, and like Danielle said, there's tons of great editing features, but let's say that video was good, it was short and sweet, and I want to get it out as soon as possible. It's all ready to go right here. You click this blue button and you have a shareable link to the video. You could put it in Google Classroom, you could tweet it out, you could email it to your students, you could email it to your parents. It's good to go. And I'm going to come back in a little bit and show you how to easily share to Google Classroom. But first, let's go ahead and experiment with the editor. So right here, open an editor. And it's going to fire up to make some magic. If you have ever worked with iMovie or any other video editing tools, Screencastify is very similar. It is your basic video editing tool. So right down here, you see I have my video, and I'm going to click on it. And a couple of the options I can have is I can cut. So let's say my dog was barking during this whole first part. I can go ahead and make a cut right there. And I can go ahead and delete that whole first part because, or, you know, if you just wanted to do a retake, you're just like, I did a false start. I started, then I started again, but I'll remember that was the first 5 seconds. You can go ahead and take that right out. Also, we have a cropping tool. So I'm going to select the video and click on crop. So let's say, and I know this has happened before to me, where you have notifications pop up in the corner, or you have an ad pop up down below, and you don't want that to distract your students. I only want them focused on the main part of my screen. So I'm going to draw a rectangle to crop the part of the video I want visible. So I'm only going to keep this part because right over here was where that notification popped up, and I had an ad pop up right here. And I click done, and it will actually crop the video to that size so the students are only seeing that part. Another feature we have is add text. And you can go ahead and add text to the video. And you can choose the font. It has lots of selections in here if you want it bold. But you can choose how long you want that text to stay. Right now it's staying for a limited time. If I click here, I can have the text stay for the whole video if I want, or only up to a certain part if I want. So that's how the text feature works. Now let's say I took off the dog bark, I cut out that part, I added text here, and then right here, let's say when I started to show the spotlight. Right here when I started to show the spotlight, before that I wanted to add a video from somewhere else. So I'm going to go ahead and make a cut there. So I'm going to put my cursor, click cut, and now I have this video here and this video here, but I can insert a video in between them. And if we're going to add, just similar to how you add in Google, I'm going to click the plus, and I can add from my Google Drive, or I can upload a video. So not only can you make a Screencastify video, but you can add videos from your Google Drive or elsewhere on the internet right into that Screencastify video. And the cool thing is, great tool I always look for whenever I am editing anything is, do I have an undo? Do I have a redo? And it's right up here. You have your undo. So if I'm like, oh, wait, I want to undo that cut, you can, or it's like, no, I still want it, you can redo it. After you have made all your editing choices, you can export it. And the great thing is, you can export to an MP4, which you may need, but in most cases, you're just going to export it straight to your Google Drive, and it will be there in your Google Drive for you to share out through email or Google Classroom or however you want to share. Danielle, any other things you think I can say about the editor?
Just that it is awesome. And I do know that there was a question about adding different pictures to this video, and you can add it from your Google Drive and lay it on top of each other, just like what we would do in any other video editing tools.
So like, you know how on your iPhone, it kind of treats video and photo as the same. It's the same way in Screencastify. If you just pulled out that photo and put it in there and had the video go on it for a little bit, you could just drop a photo in there. Sounds good. All right, now I'm going to show you. So I've gone back to where I've made my video and I want to share to Google Classroom, which we know this is how a lot of teachers are going to be using this tool. They're going to make a lesson, a short lesson on Screencastify. They're going to share it with their students through Google Classroom. And you can learn all about these tools right here on the Digital Learning channel. I know Russ and Jack were here talking about Google Classroom earlier. So you might want to revisit that if you're like, okay, maybe I'm not using Google Classroom as well as I could. Check that out. But we're going to share to the classroom. We're going to choose a class, and I'm going to choose Mr. Durham's class. Now, let's say I wanted to send it to Mr. Bosley's class too. I will show you how you can do that. So I choose it, and I'm going to create assignment and go. And I'm just going to say, please watch video. And you can see that the Student Backpack Team video is right here and the students can view it. I can, if I want, choose which classes I assign to. I can send it to Mr. Durham's class and Mr. Bosley's if I want, or if I want to differentiate my learning for my teaching for some of my students, I can choose Mr. Durham's class and choose to only send this video to Russ and Matt. So that has those options if you're doing differentiated teaching with the videos you're creating. And then when I click assign, it will go straight to that classroom and the students will see it. Okay, and we had an error, but every other time I did, we didn't have an error. I'll have to go back and see what was going on with that. It might be because I already assigned a similar one, or it was called the same thing, but I'll double check that. But that's just how easy it is to share. Anything else you can think about, or did we have any questions about sharing?
We did not have any questions about sharing. And there are different ways that you can share your Screencastify video. There is the share to Google Classroom. And if you have a personal, well, everyone has a YouTube account as well. You can also create a QR code. So not only do we create videos for our students, you can create videos for your family members, kind of like a welcome back video, and embed it into your Google Doc or your Google Slide presentation as well.
Yes, thank you, Danielle, for pointing that out. You're right. There's lots of options to share here, and you can even add more share options. So yeah, so I'm going to hop back to our presentation show.
Even real quick, if you click on the download option, you can download your video as an animated GIF as well, or GIF, however you like to say.
That would be GIF. Yes, that would be GIF. You're right.
Yeah, so that, and I do know that Bitmoji classrooms are very popular, but you can create your Bitmojis in Screencastify as well.
All right, thank you. And Danielle, you want to take us through some of the tips?
Yeah, so now we are going to talk about some tips that you can use with Screencastify. So if you could click on that next slide. There we go. So this is a great way to give personalized feedback. So if a student does turn in an assignment to you and you want to give that personalized feedback, you can give a video feedback for that student. You can record your thoughts and assign it to your students through Google Classroom. And that's kind of like a neat way to give that feedback as we were in the classroom. So not only that written feedback, but that feedback, the verbal feedback that they can see in that video. These videos is a way to activate a student's prior knowledge. So as you are creating those videos, students can remember what they are learning. To get students excited about an upcoming lesson, just like we were excited to introduce the Screencastify Unlimited version with our hats and our blow whistles. This way is another way to get students excited about learning. And then last but not least, family newsletters. So again, you can create a QR code and paste it in a Google Doc or Google Slide, or however you share your family newsletters with those parent and guardians of your students. So if you click on the next slide, these are just some great tips as well. And Matt Bucka, he is on here right now, and he created some of these great tips when we did Screencastify together as well. So I do want to give my thank you to him. So try to keep it to one learning objective or outcome per video. The simpler and the shorter, the better. So we know that it can be hard to watch a long video. Take advantage of the re-record, pause, and editor functions, just like what we did. If you messed up in the video, it is okay because you can cut that part out. And then like Stephen showed, that you do have those cursor options available to you. So take advantage of those options to draw your viewers' attention to those important things.
All good points. And it's so much easier to make a shorter video. It's kind of hard to nail 20 minutes or more, but it's real easy to make a short 5-minute video and edit that down and get it out to your students, or a 10-minute video, even though you are unlimited and you can make it as long as you wanted.
Correct. And then the next slide. So we did talk about these 3 things. We talked about how to find that Screencastify extension and adding it to Chrome, learning how to record your screen, and there's some helpful tips and tricks for creating those. I did put in the chat, if you are still having any issues with getting it shown up in your Google Chrome, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And if I have time, I can show you again where the Google Chrome web store is. Just if for whatever reason it's not showing up, we will take care of you as well. There is an option as you are signed into Screencastify. You can become a master screencaster and a Screencastify certified genius. So as you are becoming those, we would love to hear about it on Twitter. You can use that hashtag JCPSDigIn, and you can also follow us on that Twitter account, as well as you are creating your Screencastify videos. Tweet out what creative ways you are using and implementing those Screencastify videos in your classroom. We are always better together, and we are always learning from each other and how we can implement these digital tools.
That's great information, Danielle. And I did want to say, recently I did the Master Screencaster class, and it only took about an hour. It's short videos and then a little quiz about it, and you make a 30-second video. And it was a pretty cool experience and got me really familiar with the tools. So definitely something our teachers might want to check out. I know they like earning their badges and being pros in different technology tools.
Correct. And I think that is our time. But again, don't forget, don't hesitate to reach out to one of us, one of your digital innovation leaders, or myself, Danielle.Washburn at You Know the Rest, and we can be of assistance to you.
Outstanding.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys. Great team part of Stephen.Derm at You Know the Rest. Absolutely. That's our high school zone and zone 3 digital innovation leaders. We have 2 more coming up, Matt.Balka and Elaine.Jambanatha, I do believe is what we're calling her now, talking about Jamboard and the exciting things going on there and how to apply that. And once again, I'm switching my screen to me, Jim Unger with JCPS Digital Innovation, and there's a whole great digital innovation team rocking out, showing you these tools this afternoon. Please remember, on the Digital Learning Channel, you can go ahead and hit that red subscribe button down there, and know when we break these up and repost them this afternoon, you'll have access to them at any time, at your speed, at your pace, however you want. So make sure you check those out. Elaine, Matthew, how are you guys doing this afternoon?
Great. How are you?
I am excited to have all of you on today.
Us too. Us too. All right, Matt, you ready to dig into this Jamboard?
I am super ready. Let's do it.
Awesome. So, James, we have another device that's sharing, so you can just switch back and forth from that if you want. So, all right. So, as Jim said, we're Elaine Abanatha, and I'm a digital innovation leader for middle school and state agency. And my awesome partner in crime today is...
I'm Matt Balka. I'm the digital innovation leader for high schools. And she said her name wrong. It's actually, when we're talking about Jamboard, it's Elaine Jambanatha, because she redefines how you use the program. So
You guys are so sweet. You guys are so sweet. All right. So on a schedule is the link to the presentation. And I see you guys are all in there. And we're happy that you're joining us. And this will be as a resource underneath for those broken up presentations too. All right. So Matt, you want to talk to us about these teaching standards that are so important for us to use online?
Yes. So these are taken from the Quality Online Teaching Standards. And if you don't know what those are, haven't seen those yet, I put them in the speaker notes for you. So you can go ahead and check those out. So the 3 standards we're going to meet today are B3, which is the online teacher uses different types of tools to interact in online courses in order to nurture learner relationships, encourage interaction, and monitor and motivate engagement. G1, which is the online teacher chooses appropriate assessment tools, which allow students the opportunity to demonstrate mastery of the content. And then H1, which is the online teacher designs learning experiences that use technology effectively to engage learners. And so it goes A through H, and there's like 6 to 10 standards in each of those. Some deal with digital citizenship, some deal with using tools, some deal with recognizing that the diversity among your learners and choosing things online that reflect that accurately as well. So definitely take a look at those. They're going to be very, very important as we continue to teach in this virtual world.
Absolutely. I totally love those and agree. Okay, so if you are new to Jamboard and you've never used it, we want to make sure that you know what it is. It's an interactive whiteboard that is embedded in the free Google Suite tools. And so you can use this on all platforms. You can use it on a Chromebook. You can use it on a PC. You can use it Mac, iPad, phone, iPhone, and even Android devices. So it is a very powerful tool for you and your students to use as a collaboration tool and for you to use as a whiteboard. And we've even seen it as manipulatives, and students can use it as evidence of their learning. We're going to give you some examples of that here in a little bit. All right, Matt, how do they even get to Jamboard?
That is a great question. So you can do it a couple ways. All of Google's tools you can go to by typing in whatever the tool is, .google.com. So just like you would type in drive.google.com, you can type in jamboard.google.com and get there that way. You can click on your waffle. So if you open up a new tab and you'll see that little waffle in the top right corner, you click on that, you scroll a little bit, Jamboard will be a little bit further down, and it's kind of like this little geometric J shape. And then you'll just click on that and hit the plus new jam to get that started. You can also, if you're in Google Drive, click new and click more, and Google Jamboard should be an option for you there as well.
And Matt, remember a pro tip is if you use an icon and it's down in your list and you want it, that's how you get to it. You guys can move those around so that you don't have to search for them as much, because there's a lot of tools in that waffle for sure. All right. So we have tons and tons of ideas for you to do. And we also have some awesome templates for you in a little bit. But one of my favorite things to do is that I've seen during our NTI process is for teachers to bring that Jamboard up and model what they're teaching during their virtual lesson. You can also do this when you record your meet. So you don't have to just use it with live students. It's just a way for you to use several free tools and demonstrate with a voiceover without having to do a whole bunch of techie things. So you would just share your Google, you'd share your screen and pin it, and then you would actually be able to write on that live so that the students can do it. And even better, you can share that as a view only in the Google Classroom for your students to revisit it for them to see again. So you can also use this with Screencastify. And right here on our second bullet, we have a one-page tip sheet. And I'm just going to go ahead and view this. And I did not create this. We have some awesome people you just saw that created this. We have Danielle, I do believe, to help create this. And this will help you with some of those tips. And she might have just shown that on the last one as well. So one of the awesome things that we really like to do is to create a copy for every student. And if you're not sure how to do these in Google Meet or in Google Classroom, our team is actually going to be diving deeper into these, and make sure you tune into those as well. But if you make an assignment for your students and attach a Google Jamboard, you'll be able to make a copy for every one of those students, and then they can demonstrate their learning, or even just use it as a manipulative. And we're going to talk about and give you some of those examples here in a minute. So when we get to go back to the classroom, which I can't wait, you're going to be able to have this tool and have it project very simply up onto your projector. And so your students can see live that manipulative. Way back when, we would use those, what were those called, Matt? With the erasable markers and the line.
The backlit overhead projectors.
Overhead, that was it.
Yes.
So this is very simple, except my pet peeve as a teacher, Matt and Jim, were actually being attached to and stuck behind a computer or behind a projector or anything like that. It just drove me nuts because I couldn't move around the room. So if you take your computer that is hooked up to the projector and you get it on the same link, which would be your Jamboard, and if you have another device, you can even use your phone. It's a free app that you can use. But my favorite part is that you can take pictures of student work as you walk around, and then it will show up immediately on that Jamboard on the projector. So that's a very powerful tool, and you can have the student explain it without having to go up and take that transition time up into the front of the room. And I actually have, as a previous special ed teacher, I think a lot of my students would be more comfortable sharing what they have in their safe space of their desk, so that they don't have to be up in front of the classroom. All right. We have tons of stuff to do. All right, Matt.
Yes, I know.
What are these tools? It is different on a computer and an iPad. So let's explain to them where this toolbar is and what these tools are.
Yeah, so when you open up a Jamboard, and actually Elaine took a screenshot of this for the back of our slides here. So this is what a Jamboard would look like. You'll notice on the left-hand side, we have that toolbar. And there's several different tools there. The top one is a pen, and that's pretty much exactly what you think it would be. So if you click on that, you'll have different thickness options, different color options, and so on. The next one down is an eraser, and that does pretty much what you'd expect it to as well. It erases. And so that, I don't believe you can change the shape on that, correct? Except unless you're pinching in and out. So that's going to erase whatever you drag it over, just like a pen would draw. You'll also notice to erase things at the top, there's that clear frame button. So what that will do is it will clear everything off that Jamboard. So just like you would take a towel and wipe off your whiteboard in your classroom completely, that does the same thing, except it's significantly less effort. The arrow there, or the cursor there, is to select. So that's how you would move things around without drawing or erasing. And then we have a sticky note function, and that's going to work just like a sticky note would on your desk or on your board. You click that, you can change the color of it, so you can have different things. And some of the examples we'll show you here soon. We'll have different color sticky notes, and we're using them for different purposes. The one below that, which I think we talk about on the next slide, Elaine, is the insert image option. But below that, you have a laser, and the laser works similarly to the pen function, but it does not stick around. So if you had, let's say, like a graph or something where you wanted to point out a curve, or you wanted to point out something on a map, but you didn't want it to be there permanently or have to erase it later, you could circle it or mark on it with that laser function, and it would go away after about like a second and a half or something like that.
Absolutely. And that is, the tools are different for a computer, iPad, and phone, but they are not different as far as computer, Mac. Those are the same for PCs. All right. So Matt discussed about this insert image. And as Jamboard it goes through evolution, I know that it's going to get better. That's just the way Google works. So that button has an insert image, and you are able to drag and drop. But if you wanted to give a example of a problem that is on possibly a worksheet or a PDF, you can take a screenshot of that and then insert it as well into that so that you can reference it. You're also able to go and get straight from Google, the Google image search. So you don't have to go and search it on a separate tab and then download it and then upload it, you can do that automatically through this window. Of course, you can insert things from your drive. Now, they will just be the images currently that you can insert. You can't currently insert images from Google Slides or a Google Doc. But if you take the screenshot of that, you would be able to insert it that way. And then, of course, any of your photos that you have, and this is what I was talking about for you to do live up in the up in Classroom when you have it projected, is you can take that and use your camera from another device. And we're going to model that for you here in a minute, but we want to make sure that you have reference to those in this presentation. All right. So an iPad, you have lots more, or an Android device, you have a lot more options for it, Matt, don't you?
Yes, you have a ton more options. So here you can see some of the things that we have laid out that are the options there. You have an insert, what is that, assistive drawing tools, right? So will you explain what that one does, Elaine? You're more familiar with iPad.
Absolutely. So, and Smartboard used to have this, they probably still have this, but if I write and my writing is not necessarily as neat and I want students to be able to see it in a typed text, you can click on that, and as you write, it's going to identify that your letters are text, just like as if you would type it. And also, Matt, that next one, say I need to draw a perfect circle. Obviously, I can't draw perfect circles or triangles or whatnot. The next tool over to the right is going to be able to identify what your shape is and allow you to get that drawn.
No more having to self-deprecate about your art skills as a teacher. You're now able to draw perfect circles. So that's awesome.
Yes, as well as, so the next one, that's a little dark pen that's to the right of that, you're actually able to try to draw a cat and it will identify the cat. So it's pretty neat. There's a game I think my kids play on their devices that they're trying to draw what it's prompting them to do, and if it guesses it, then they get the point. So this is similar to that, but it just gives you that ability to draw something that's more identifiable rather than your stick figure person or your funny looking cat. So of course, on that iPad, Matt, see, it's got where I can insert this because it doesn't have that picture that we had on the last, which is the computer version. It has where you can insert that from those. So you can also insert, and that is right as well in this other menu. So you can insert your sticky note and your images and those type of things directly from that. But it is just in a little bit of a different menu for sure.
And you'll notice the camera function right there too. It'd be really easy to insert. Elaine had mentioned like a math problem or something like that earlier. If there was something in a textbook and you didn't want to go all the way down to the scanner and copy that in, you could just take a camera of it on your tablet, or a picture of it on your tablet, and insert it with the camera that way as well. So
absolutely. So I worked with a lot of students and we worked on their reading fluency. You could take a picture of this and then highlight those words that they possibly missed, or take a timed test of that. So it's a huge, just a simple twist of what the true, I think, purpose is. So the sky's the limit. We talked about that earlier on our other slide. All right. So to share these, let me go back. To share these, it is a little different on an iPad and a computer. And if you've not yet noticed, the share button has changed on all of the Google tools. So it looks just a little different. It has an extra link, right, Matt? It's like at the bottom. And to me, it's a little different step. So you just have to familiarize yourself with it. It doesn't have what I used to call that toggle switch where all those dots were on top and below. So it's now, and we've just made these GIFs right here, or GIFs, whatever you want to say, Tim. I caught that earlier. I was like, can we say it differently? So that you can see that on the left is that iPad and how you share, and on the right is the computer. So just make sure you familiarize yourself and remember how those links are. With anyone with the link can view. That just means your students would not be able to edit it. And anyone with the link can edit means your whole class can edit. And Matt, we did have some confusion. This was something I didn't know about the limits of people. Do you remember the limit number of the people that could be on a Jamboard at the same time?
So only 25 synchronously. So 25 at the same time on a Jamboard, which is unfortunate. But if you're going to do that option where you provide the students their own copy, or if you're just going to use it as a whiteboard while you're doing a Google Meet or a Screencastify, then that would be a good way to not have to worry about that limit. But It
Yeah,
is
you
currently
had
capped
another
at
question
25.
about the Jamboards, and that was, can you assign one Jamboard to every student like you do in Google Classroom with an assignment?
Yes. So just like that, what we were talking about, making a copy for every student, you would be able to, that would be their Jamboard, just as you were making a copy on a copy machine. So that would be their interactive Jamboard, and they would be able to edit each one of their own. Yes. Absolutely. And if you're going to do a live demonstration and you don't want your kids to be able to edit it, but you have given them the link in Google Classroom or even in the Google Meet chat, make sure that link is only you can edit it so that your kids can't jump in and mess with something on accident. And that way you don't have to worry about that. But so just familiarize yourself with that little bit of a new ability to, or screen to edit or to share those documents for sure. All right. So we are going to, we talked about some other cool tricks. You saw that we modeled some of the GIFs that you can, and we're going to go ahead and model these backgrounds. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, it just may take me a second. I'm going to go, and you'll have to tell me, because I always, screen sharing can get kind of difficult at times, but.
Yep, we see it.
Awesome. Okay, so we are going to model this for you, and that link up at the top says watch live. So to watch this live, of course, if there's 700 people watching, then you guys are not all going to be able to jump in, but that's why we're presenting that right now. So you can insert GIFs, but I want to show you this background button up at the top. Of course, you'll recognize the undo and redo. And then you can zoom in if your students needed to see a little portion. But this background is really neat because Matt, you taught chemistry, and I wouldn't necessarily need this graph paper, but you might need that graph paper, of course, for our math teachers too. So you have the background of the dots, which may be for art. That may help. You have the background for the lined paper. And I know I used this for when my daughter was doing handwriting things. I wanted it to be virtual because I didn't necessarily have the time to take the picture of the piece of paper that she was writing on. So she did a lot of times when she would write on that as well. Here's your grid paper. And then there is a verified grid, a different grid in a different background, so gray. And I want to remind you that using the dark backgrounds helps some students be able to see and read things. So especially your visually impaired students, that may help them and allow them to see it a little bit easier. Of course, that blackboard kind of makes it look a little different. It makes it show up as, of course, you'd have to have a different color, but it can help you show up a little different with that contrast.
That makes me think of Khan Academy when we have it in the black like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So right now I've been actually demonstrating on my computer, but I'm going to go, and you can't see this, but I'm jumping over to my iPad, and I really love to be able to write on this, but it's not much room. So I'm going to actually zoom in, and that's just by using the 2-finger pinch that we're all mostly used to. And I'm going to write something on here. And then you'll be able to see that it's actually a lot smaller than I could possibly write with just having it zoomed in. So it makes it able to just grab and write smaller notes. And that selection tool that we talked about, if I just want to select just something and move it, I would be able to move that and select it and move it from away. And also, I'll try to mirror this here in a second, but you're able to trash it by, let's see if I can do this. I can grab something. No, can't do it on my computer because it is a little different, but I can grab something and trash it. So I'm going to try to do that here. Actually, can you still see this, Matt?
Yes, we can. And now, we can see we can see your mirrored right there too.
Okay, perfect. So if I select something and I want to move it, I want you guys to see if I push it down at the bottom, it turns red and I can trash that, or I can push it over to the right. And I'm not sure if it's not going to show you, but it'll actually move it over to the next page. So that goes back to our next spot is how you can rearrange your pages. You have up to 20 pages for your students and yourself to use, which really helps me when I think of taking your notes. You can pick up right where you left off with your students, and then they can have them, and you can keep them in chronological order even when we get back to class. But just to rearrange those, you're going to click up at the top, and you can grab and move those as well. And also, if I wanted to, and if I got one too many, I can actually delete it, or I can even duplicate. And one of my favorite things to do that, and we're going to talk about some of the examples here on the next slide. But if I wanted to duplicate something, I can easily duplicate it and not have to recreate it. So if you put something like your Bitmoji on there, you don't have to you don't have to recreate it. So you can just duplicate that. All right, so we've got on our next slide since we're sharing right here, we've got some examples, and I'm just going to go through elementary, and then we've got some middle and high, but then we've got a very special treat for you for sure, Matt. I'm gonna make sure that you share that one, because I can take over really easily too quickly. So this elementary one I just showed you actually, which was the word work. So your students this is just inserting a sticky note, and we did talk about those, but I wanted to point out that you can make them different colors, and I've actually never used the none, so that's pretty cool. So that would just look like a regular H, and that's pretty neat. I've never done that, never noticed that. You learn something every day. So this one was just simply taking different letters and sounds that we needed them to make a word. So they would just manipulate this around. Now, I wouldn't necessarily use this as an assignment piece, but it is a manipulative piece for them to practice these words that you would want them to make. And you can always use them also for different vocabulary words as well, that you could have them match the vocabulary to the definition. So the sky's the limit for sure. And also, we wanted to talk about the next one. So my son had to do an independent reading, and he had to write down what his book was. And then he did the 5-finger, what the character was and the setting. And so he just got to trace his hand. Of course, you would need more of a tablet for this. You can do it on a Chromebook, but it may not look as much of an outline of the hand. But so he was able to draw his hand and then write that 5-finger thing. And he actually turned this in. So it was, instead of just taking a picture of the document that he could have written on a piece of paper, he turned this piece in. So that was really neat. And of course, he loves to make a lot of extra ones to drive me crazy. So, all right, Matt, what did we have for that middle school one?
Yeah, let me pull up the middle school one here.
So you don't have to wait.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
All right, so that one does actually force you a copy, which is a really cool way. We probably need to, if we have a second, we can definitely show you how to make a copy.
Yes.
Force a copy. That is super cool when you share.
Yeah, so this one, this is a math manipulative, so it allows you to take some numbers. And the problem here, I think you have to find some different points on a coordinate plane. And that manipulative allows you to change your slope, change your y-intercept, and try to match it up with those points and that line on the left. And this is where we were talking about, grid paper could come in handy. You could have the whole background be grid paper and have it be graphed along the side, or you can provide the graph for them like that as well.
Absolutely. And of course, we always want to try to do more with our SAMR, not just substitution, but your students could really create things with this. So they could do artwork, they could do creating their own math problems. So really the sky's the limit. And we always want you to try to think with that SAMR model of recreation, which will take our students to the next level for sure, along with the other letters as well. All right, Matt. So I'm interested to see this high school one.
Yes, and hopefully that will.
On that. So you forced a copy.
Oh, it'll make you make a copy, man. Let me see if I can redo that link really quickly. Hold on. Okay. Control C.
The copy's good.
Yeah, but I have it pulled up on my on my iPad. I was gonna manipulate.
Oh, so you want to edit it? Gotcha.
Yeah, here we go. Let me do Control K, apply, and hopefully that'll let you in.
Yep. It sure will. And that's one of the benefits of having live documents. So if in your class you actually needed to update something, you can. Okay.
So can you see me writing on there?
Yep.
Okay, it showed it. Awesome. Okay, so this is a high school example, and I was a chemistry teacher, so why not do chemistry, right? We don't get enough of that. So if I'm thinking of like an interactive whiteboard, what I would do is I would teach my students how to balance equations this way. So when we balance equations, we write our elements underneath the arrow, and you count up how many you have on each side initially. We have 3 oxygens. Don't forget that one in water. We always mess that one up. So this is a combustion reaction. And so what I'd have my students do as well is I would have them, whoops, that is a line. I want it to be on select. So if I take my select tool, you'll see that I'm pulling my oxygen from the side. So it's a way that I can actually have them balance out the number of atoms on each side as well. And even though they're high school students, it doesn't mean that they don't still like to see those manipulatives and have access to that. So that's one example of how I would use it as a chemistry teacher. My wife is an English teacher at Iroquois High School. And so one of the things that she thought she could do, if you want to go to the next little thing there, this is just a random text excerpt that I pulled from Google Images. I have no idea what it's from or what it is, full disclosure. But one of the things you could do is you could teach annotation for a passage that you're reading together as a class. So if I click on my pen and I want to change it to a yellow highlight, I can do that, and we can highlight some of the things we're talking about here. I can switch it back over to a pen, and we can take some. Let me close that out here. We can take some notes on the side. I'm probably gonna have to use the assistive text because my handwriting's disgusting. I
just came up with an idea too, Matt. I don't know if anybody's done the blackout poems when I taught freshmen.
Ooh.
Do you remember the blackout poems where they gave them
do.
text? And you could use that black pen and then give a blackout poem. That would be so neat because that
would be.
Yeah. I want to see somebody do that out there in JCPS. I want to see them tweet it. Yeah, you could black out your words and then that would make their own poem. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So we have, let's see. We have some more right here in the templates. Oh man, this was the goodie thing we wanted to do, for sure.
These templates are from, oh my gosh, what is that website? We kept saying Control-Alt-Achieve yesterday, but that wasn't it. It was a DigFed textbook. Yes, which I believe is Matt Miller. I think I'm getting my edgy celebrities there, right? So these are 10 templates for Jamboard for distance learning. So some of the ones that they have in here are Fist to 5, Good, Bad, Okay. They've got one, if you scroll down a little bit. So if you click, you'll see it says copy Jamboard template. As soon as you click that, it'll force you to make a copy so you have your own. So they have some icebreaker ones like 2 truths and a lie. They have thumbs up, thumbs down. So these are some things you can do for some quick formative assessment, some reading the room. They have a graffiti wall, 4 corners, stop and sketch. So, and these are available for free, and they are linked in on that where it says templates. So if you click that, if you have access to the presentation, they'll take you right there.
Mm-hmm. And I do want to. I need to say that, and I hate this, but I need to say that there is no history on what a Jamboard. So if someone writes, now you did notice that when Matt was writing on his, I could tell that it was him. But if he had access to that afterwards and he wanted to write whatever he wanted to write, then he could. And I, as the teacher, would not have the ability to see who wrote something. So your digital agility needs to be strong in your class if you're going to let everyone do it without your supervision. You can shut that down after you finish with that and make it where anyone with the link can view. So you just have to be mindful about their digital agility, about their citizenship for sure. Mm-hmm. But just remember that and make sure that you touch base with your students on that. So last thing but not least, if you, James, will go over to that extra sharing, we want to see your jams that you guys use. And I know there's more. You're going to teach us on how to do it and we can learn from one another, but make sure that you use that hashtag on Twitter, JCPS Dig In, which stands for Digital Innovation. And we want to see and learn from you as along. So with everyone. So make sure that you guys do that. Well, Jim, that's all we have for today. And let us know through any questions also on Twitter and just using that hashtag because our team follows that as well. So if you have questions and just like in a classroom, if a student asks a question, some others in the classroom will learn from that question. So make sure you put those questions on that hashtag too.
And that's all you have, Elaine? I mean, 30 minutes and that's all you have? Come on, Matt. That was
We had
so
to
much. That
squeeze
was
it
so
in. We were
much.
like, we
That was
could go on and
amazing.
on about
Thank you.
Jamboard. But
And thank you to all of our educators that are in the chat. We have over 800 participating viewers right now. And the questions and the answers and teachers helping teachers out there, it's just so great to see. And I love seeing this going on today. It is amazing. This is what we need. This is why we succeed. But without further ado, once again, I'm Jim Unger, your digital innovation leader from Zone 2. And up next, we have the amazing Kathleen Receiver and Rebecca Reynolds, two of our Fairy Tech mothers. And they are going to be talking about Read and Write in the Literacy Toolbar. A lot of people want to talk about this new feature. Great stuff to talk about. What do you got, Kathleen, Rebecca?
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. We have a lot of very exciting information. So, Rebecca, you ready to get started?
Yeah, I am. Hi, JCPS.
Rebecca is one of our newest JCPS digital innovation leaders, so we are excited to have her. I'm going to go ahead, Jim, and I'm going to share my screen.
All right, I got you.
All right, so Rebecca and I are going to go back and forth a little bit. We have a presentation that is linked in the virtual schedule, so you can follow along with this and then have it for later. But also, we will jump out of the presentation and go live a little bit as well. So I'm going to turn on my closed captions. All right, and we are ready to begin. So like Jim said, I'm Kathleen Receiver, and I work with the Zone 2 elementary schools, all 32 of them, with my fabulous partner, Jim Unger. And Rebecca, do you want to go ahead and say what zone you work with?
Sure. I'm with Zone 1 with my partner, Jack Bosley, and I am learning all of my schools as quick as I can. So I'll get some messages out to you guys soon.
Yes, and you will learn them very quickly. They will not take long, I can promise you that. So we are here today to talk about Read and Write. And I am really excited about this because this software, this tool is a passion of mine. I taught at Wheatley Elementary and I used it daily with my students there. And go ahead. Oh, I thought you were gonna say something. And so this is a great tool that I really like. And I trained on it. I may have trained some of you on it several years ago when the district purchased it. So I'm excited to announce that we are in the process of doing that again for all students. And that's just really exciting. And you can see this is a literacy support for all learners. This is not just for our EL learners or our ECE learners. This is for everyone. So, and before we get started, because our team is a little bit new with using Read and Write and may not have the experience that I had, I went ahead and made this quick back channel. It's just a Google Doc. So, and Jim, if he can throw it in the chat for you. It's just bit.ly/diginrw. So as I'm speaking, you can drop a question in the chat, but you can also use this document to ask a question just in case my colleagues aren't sure of the answer. I think Brian Franklin and Cindy Simpson from ECE Assistive Technology may be in the chat, and they are fantastic with this tool as well. So hopefully they can help out the over 800 educators we have with us today. So got it in the chat. Great. Okay, so let's get started. So the first off, what is Read and Write? So Read and Write, it's like we said, it's a literacy support tool that is designed to be used with reading, writing, studying, and research support. So you can use this either on using the Chrome browser, so a Chromebook or a PC or a Mac. It doesn't matter. You can use the Chromebook and use that Google extension, which you will see right there kind of in the middle. There's also an app for it that you can use with iPads. So it is supported on iPads. And if you just want to use the software, you can even install the software, but you really don't need to do that with the newest updates with the Google Chrome extension and the iPad app. You really will be just fine using either of those. And then we have the PDF reader there because, yes, you are looking at that correctly. It will read PDFs to your students. What? So exciting. All right. And I have a little bit of a summer cold, so pardon my raspy voice here. Okay. So what are we going to do this afternoon for this full hour that we have with you? We are going to learn how you can access the Read and Write for teachers and for your students. We're also going to show you how you can read have text read to you while you are online. And then we're also going to show you how you can find out more information for the Read and Write tools, because there are so many. I could do this training for 4 hours and just completely overwhelm you. So Rebecca and I are going to show you just a few of the tools to whet your palates and make you want to learn more. And then also, we want to make sure you understand the why behind student use of Read and Write. And Rebecca, can you read that while I grab a cough drop?
Sure, you poor thing. So help struggling students create and engage with content across all grade levels, subjects, optimizing their own personal learning styles. I think this is super important as we look to deeper learning and students really taking control of what they're doing and realizing what helps them the most.
You got it. And then next, Rebecca, you want to talk about our National Quality Online Teaching Standards?
Yes, guys. So those are linked, that little navy and white box down there. That's linked for you if you guys want to check them out. I know we've touched briefly on them in all the presentations today, but I went through them all and really picked 3 core that this Read and Write tool is going to work for your students, because this is for them more than it is for you. So it puts their learning in their hands. We've got digital pedagogy, or Goji. I know everyone says it differently. It's like our GIF argument. So the online teacher incorporates discipline-specific technology tools and resources to meet those individualized learner needs. So again, individualized learning is important for them. Learner engagement. I think that this tool is super engaging for our learners. We're going to show you some really cool things with highlighting and picture dictionary and all those. We'll get to it. So using those digital tools for engagement and for their performance. And then instructional design, the online teacher designs learning experience. Oh, I can't see it. That use technology to effectively engage learners.
Yes, and I think these are really important. And like Rebecca said, they are linked down there with that navy box that says NSQ. And there are a lot of them, but as you read through them, you will really see why we are pointing these out to you, because most all of them match what we are doing and living right now. Okay. So step number 1, how in the world do we access this Read and Write Google extension? These next few slides give the step-by-step instructions, but I can promise you that the company was so generous. They gave Rebecca and I handouts for all of these instructions, and they are linked to this presentation. And so if you do not follow along with me as I'm showing you this, don't worry. You will be able to check them out either on the recording or on the documents that are linked. I believe I think it's in slide 2 in the notes section. Is a folder full of a bunch of resources. But you do need to watch, because your students are going to have to do this the first time they use it. And I think that's the most important thing to remember. Even though this toolbar is so large, you have to start very small with the students, especially your younger students, and showing them how to sign in. So the first thing that's very important, and I'm actually, Rebecca, I told you I would do this. I'm going to jump out of full screen because I'm just more comfortable kind of showing as I go here. The first thing that you have to make sure, teachers, if you are using a desktop, laptop, computer, and not a Chromebook, you want to make sure that you are logged in to the Chrome browser. So if you can see, hopefully we can see my my screen right here. I have Kathleen Receiver and Kathleen Receiver, not Kathleen Receiver at Gmail, but Kathleen Receiver, my Jefferson email is signed into both of these. I have a different picture for my personal Gmail account, and this just to make sure I'm always signed in the correct way. If you're not signed in, this Read and Write toolbar will not show up. And that's the same for your students as well. They will not have the premium unlimited version if they are not signed in. Many of our students are using Chromebooks. So once they sign into the Chromebook with their JCPS information, they will be good to go. It has been pushed out to student accounts. So that little Read and Write puzzle piece right there will show up for them. So we talked about you have to be signed in to both of them, and then come the accepting permissions. There are several permissions that you will have to go through and click accept. And guess what? So will your students. So you need to walk them through. Maybe a good idea would be to share maybe a student's screen, not their picture, but their screen, to walk your class through how to accept those permissions. So once the students click on the Read and Write toolbar, these will pop up the first time only. So you go through and you will accept permissions. And once you're finished with that, you are ready to rock. Now, something to remember, just because I have this extension up here, it does not mean that it's going to work everywhere I go necessarily. So it does work with Google Slides, Google Docs, the Chrome browser, any of the internet, and PDFs. But if I were to jump over to this Hangout call and try to click on it, nothing probably would happen because there's not text, a lot of text on that call. So this next slide shows you what the Read and Write toolbar looks like. And I'm going to go ahead and click on it because I am in, and we have, wow, over 80 people in here. Because I am in a Google slide, it shows up for me. Now, one thing that teachers complained about, and I might double think this, but we had this pushed out for teachers. So teachers, you did not have to go to the Google Chrome web store, but now you do. We turned it off because it used to be that when you weren't using it, the little puzzle piece would just hang down here, and that really bothered people. See it right here? Kind of gets in the way a little bit, but Read and Write listened. And now if I click on this X rather than that little caret, it will go away altogether. So I found that out when playing around with this toolbar, and we may have to investigate on pushing that out again. But you know what, Rebecca, I completely forgot. We had this for students, but how in the world do teachers get this Google extension? That's really important.
Yes.
So teachers, if you do not have this purple puzzle piece right here, you will want to go to your Chrome App Store. And to do that, if you are using a Google Chrome browser, which I hope you are, you can click on the little colorful waffle here, or just type in Chrome Web Store in your Omnibox and it will come up. It looks a little something like this. So the Chrome Web Store, I can search here by typing Read and Write, and it will come up and look like this. Now, mine says rate it because I already have it, but what you will do is you will click on Install. And while you're there, you can go ahead and click on these two as well because we will be talking about them and you'll want to get those. So go ahead and go to the Chrome Web Store and get that installed on your toolbar. And while they're doing that, I'll pause for a second. Are there any questions that I can answer real quick?
One question we have is this an extension that students need to have or just teachers?
Great question.
If they need it, can the district push the extension out for the students?
Yes, great question. So it already has been pushed out for students. So your students, when they sign in to their Chromebooks, it will be there for them. So great question. Yes, we've pushed that out for students. Jennifer says that it's saying that you have 29 days left to use the premium feature and you are a teacher and you're signed in to your account. Great question. We're going to cover that in just a moment. There's a couple steps that teachers need to take in order to get that full premium version. And I will show you that in a moment. All right. So now people I think they're going and getting that extension. I'm going to jump back over to our slide deck here. Once you have that extension, you can either follow along with me and watch, or if you want to open up a Google slide or doc, you can do that as well. It's kind of up to your learning style. But I'm going to go ahead and click on the Read and Write puzzle piece. And wow, we have a lot of tools here. So like I said, Rebecca and I are going to go over a couple of them, and depending on questions and time, we may be able to cover more. But we're going to go over the really important ones first. And those really important ones are the ones that you want to slowly introduce to your students. You do not want to introduce all of these at once. I promise you it will overwhelm them. So the very first one here, it looks like a little glass ball with little sparkles on it. That is your prediction tool. And what the prediction tool does is it will predict the words that your students are trying to type. So as they're typing in their Google Doc or slide, they start to spell something, it finishes it out and predicts it for them. So many of us have that on our phones, maybe turned on. It drives me crazy, but that really helps some of our students. I know my son loves it because he's not the best speller and that he can read really well, but his spelling is atrocious. So that helps him. So that is the prediction tool. And like I said, I'm going to go through these quickly and then we're going to dive in more. We have a dictionary tool and a picture dictionary tool. So it does just what it says. The dictionary tool will give you a definition of a word, and then the picture dictionary will actually show you a picture of that word. What? Like, that's really exciting. And even better, you can drag those pictures, or students can drag those pictures into their presentations. And Rebecca and I will show you that too. Your next 3 are pretty self-explanatory. This is how the students have text read to them. This next one is a screenshot reader. So the screenshot reader, if you see a meme or maybe a picture that has text inside of it, you have to use that screenshot reader in order to read the text. We have an audio maker, and it does just what it says, it makes audio. You can search the web. I didn't use that a whole lot in the classroom, but you can use that. Screen masking. So what that will do is it'll mask all the text on the screen, but leave a little line to help the students focus on, or adults, focus on what they're reading. You can talk and type just like you can in a Google Doc anyways, speech to text. There's a translator tool, so translating to different languages. You have your highlighters. There are so many activities that you can do with these highlighter tools, guys. My kids used to love word work and doing different things with words because of these highlighters. That will clear the highlights. And then this last one is students can practice reading aloud. So kind of like a running record. You can use this for running records. All right. I know that's a lot of tools, but we're going to go ahead and dive in here. So on the toolbar, you can see, let's see, over here, remember, if you've been watching all day, you will know that Russ, I think it was Russ, and Jack talked about the 3 dots. I think they called it the snowman or hot dogs, whatever you want to call it. These are horizontal rather than vertical. If you click on those, you have some options. Now, students are going to have these options as well, except I don't think they probably won't have help and support or feedback maybe, but I do know they have this option right here. So I'm going to click on options. This is where students can change the voice. So if you do not like Ava and the way Ava sounds, they can change it to US Tom. I always, I gave my kids the choice if they wanted to listen to Ava or Tom, because whatever was easier for them to understand would make their experience better. So I let them choose. Now, I used it a couple years ago, so it's changed a lot in that the US is in alphabetical order, I believe is what Rebecca, here we go. Rebecca and I found out. So here's US English Tom. Now, if I were to choose Turkish Yelda, that means that when Read&Write is reading in Turkish, Yelda will speak. I can't just choose Turkish Yelda and expect it to read everything in Turkish. That's not how that works. So this is just the actual voice, because there are different accents, obviously, for the language that you choose. And I hope that makes sense. So if we are using an English language right now, we want to choose English Ava or Tom. I'm going to leave it on Ava. Here is the speed. And this is important to show to your students, because Ava may read too fast for them or maybe too slow, and they might want to speed it up. Now, kids think this is really funny, especially I'm an elementary teacher. They like to put that up on 100 and have some fun with it. So I just let them get it out of the way. Just get it out of the way. Ha ha. It's great. It's hilarious. Now let's back it down. I normally had my 3rd and 4th graders. They were normally like on a speed of 30-ish, because that's what felt right for most of them. But some of them were able to speed it up a little bit as well. So I'm going to keep it on 50 so you all can see what that sounds like on 50. All right. Then we have these buttons. You can either choose to have your reading continuously read. So it's just going to keep on going through. It's not going to stop, or it's going to only speak each word or speak a sentence at a time. So depending on your teaching style, depending on your students, you may have some students that you want to change that to just speak on each sentence and not keep on reading through for obvious reasons. So they're not going to pay attention to it. They may need to click again after each sentence. So that's up to the teacher's discretion there. There's also some other other options on the side. I'm not going to go through all of those with you. The kids do not have all of these like you do. So I'm not going to, I think the features and accounts and about, some of these are off for the kids. Now the features I do want to show you, you can have students turn off certain features. So if you are doing, I don't know, an exam where you don't want students to be able to look up what a word means, you can have them turn that off, and the picture dictionary and dictionary will turn off for them. But again,
so I know someone in the chat was asking why some of theirs were grayed out, and that might be your problem if you need to go into your settings and make sure all of those are turned on.
Yes. So if they are grayed out, couple things, you're exactly right. Well, actually, no, because if you turn them off, they will go away. The grayed out means that you are probably not a premium user. So you're going to have to follow the steps that I'm going to show you in just 1 second to be able to be that premium teacher user. That's what that is. And then for students, if they're grayed out, the only free features, I believe, are the play, the read the text feature, maybe the prediction feature. So if the other ones are all grayed out, that means you're not in the paid account. And so I'll show that to you. So when I turn them off and on, they actually disappear there. So any changes you make, you would click on OK. And for the sake of time, we will probably be doing this training plus more as the months go on. So we can dig into more of that. Rebecca, now that I said that aloud, I'm looking to see. So for teachers, the one thing that you do need to do is you have to register your email address in order to get that free teacher account. And I registered mine years ago, so mine works. So for those of you who are struggling, I'm getting it pulled up right now. It is, sorry, bear with me here. Rebecca, I remember reading it in one of those million PDFs that we received. If you go to their website and actually there's a section that walks you through how to do that. So if I can't find it right at this moment, that's okay. We will get it linked up in just a second. I'm in the folder on my other computer looking for you right now. But while I'm doing that, it's in one of those. It's in one of those PDFs. So Rebecca's going to look for us while I continue through, if that's okay, Rebecca.
I'm on it.
Awesome. So while she's doing that, I can go ahead and show you the reading tools because these should not be grayed out for you. So on the reading toolbar, the toolbar, you have a couple different options here. We have the play button, like we talked about. There may or may not be the PDF reader, and then also the screenshot reader. So the first one that I'm going to demonstrate for you is the play button. So I'm going to go over to where I have some text right here on our we will statements. And I'm going to click, notice how I clicked right in here before the L, and I'm going to press play.
Learn how to access Read&Write for teachers and students. Learn how to use Read&Write to read text while online.
So
Learn how to find more.
Stop. So I chose that on purpose because notice what it said with the because Read&Write is all together, which is that's how they market themselves. It said Read&M. So is it perfect? No. Is it pretty close? Absolutely. And one of my favorite things is that as it's reading the words, it highlights the word in blue as it goes along. So this is proven to really help our struggling readers. And that's a very important tool and really helped my kids as they were learning to read in 1st and 2nd grade when we use this. So very simple. I'm in Google Slides. I just click before what I want to read. I don't have to select it or anything. I just clicked in front of that L and pressed play. If I do not select anything and I press play,
learn how to access Read&.
It will go straight to the very first line of text. Now, the reason it did not do we will is because we will is actually called word art. So it's an image. So Read&Write it doesn't know what to do with that. And that's okay. I'll show you what to do there. So easy. You just click on the page, press play, and it'll read the page to them. Now, students will quickly learn what pictures are. My students did, and they will learn that this screenshot reader tool can be used to read pictures. So I'm going to click on it and notice it makes a little bitty plus symbol right there, addition symbol. And I'm going to click and hold and drag over that picture. Now, this is a little bit more difficult for your younger students, but I promise you with practice, I had 1st graders doing it. And it goes through something called OCR. And it reads it for you, reads images for you. So that is that screenshot reader there. And then I'm going to go back down to my slides here. Another good example I put are for the Bitmoji classrooms. They're so fun and cute and kids love them. But if I can't read, I'm not going to know what this says. So I can use that screenshot reader, click on it, and then click and drag the text I want it to read. And that's awfully small. We'll see what it does.
Your lessons will be posted here. You will just click on your grade level link to find all of your resources in one place.
So students can click on that image and have it read to them. So that's really powerful. They can reread it, stop, pause. They have all those options. And then click on the X. So just those two features, the reading feature and the screenshot reader feature, that is where I would start when introducing Read and Write to my kids. Maybe middle school and high school, probably a little bit different. They can handle a little bit more. But for any primary teachers that are here with us today, I would really focus on getting signed in. And once we get signed in to the extension and accepting those permissions, which they should already be signed in, but once they click on it and accept their permissions, teaching them how to click on play and when to click on play. And then also that screenshot reader are the first things that I taught my students.
So we have a couple questions about what do we need to install to make sure we have that PDF reader?
Yes, and I'm going to that next.
Okay.
Great questions. So, here. All right, so the PDF reader, let me click on this real quick. Of course, let's see. For the PDF reader, when you go online anywhere, and I know Rebecca and I spoke about different books and things that are PDF, and I can't remember now off the top of my head what we were speaking about yesterday, and I swore that I linked that here, but it's not linked. So when you find a PDF that you want to read online, see if I can find one real quickly here since I didn't link it. PDF book. Read and Write, since that Read and Write extension is already there, it is going to pop up for you automatically. So just like in the, of course, I'm going to find all kinds of fun stuff here. Just like in the picture, it'll be a little purple box and it'll come up. Let me see if I can download that real quick. I'm sorry, my bad. I didn't link that in there. And the little box will come up and it will prompt you to go through and download it. So as that's opening up for me, and notice mine, I don't have the PDF actually in this bar, but when you open up a actual PDF, that is where it will, that is where it will pop up. I wonder if I can. Look at that. All right. So here's this PDF, the screenshot that's in the presentation. Notice over here on the left, it's showing me, do I want to open it with text help? Now, if you do not see that, sometimes if there's a PDF in your Google Drive, you will get a little drop-down bar up here. And I'll talk about that in just a second. So I'm going to click on PDF. And this is just a PDF from the web. So this is probably what the students would see if you are using some type of program that has books. And so once they click on PDF, this pops up and here's a toolbar. It's pretty similar to the other toolbar in that there's the play, pause, stop, and the dictionary. There's also, though, the main difference is the click to speak. So if I click on the hand and I come over,
Online learning is the newest and most popular.
Wherever I click, it will read.
Online learning is education that.
So that can be very helpful and also really, really annoying. So it's important that students know if they turn that on, if it's purple, they need to come back and turn it back off again. They can also just select text and press play the same way that we did for the Google slides. So either way, there's a screenshot reader. So if there's a picture in here with text, they could use that. You still have your translator and highlighter. And the other tools that the PDF reader has is a typewriter. So if they click on the typewriter, they can actually type text into the document there. So hopefully that answers the question about the PDF reader. And they're hoping the teachers are now, click on the little delete button here. Hopefully the teachers are trying that out with some of their books that they have right now. Okay. The other one that we have is, along with Google Slides with reading, you can use the Google Chrome browser to read as well. So here's an article on Newsela. And now Newsela, it will read to you, but just an example of good text that I can show. If students want to use Read&Write, notice you don't see the toolbar here, but if I come up and click on the RW, that toolbar is going to appear for me. Now, when you're on the web, you can't actually click on it and move it around. Whereas in the Google Doc, it was locked up at the top. Here, I can move it around. And the same thing, I can press play. When I'm on the web, it's going to read the first text.
Election 2020 news.
So if I don't want to read up at the top, I need to tell Read&Write where I want it to read. So I'm going to select this first paragraph by clicking and dragging. Oops, might make sure I get it. And that's the hardest part for kids, I think, sometimes in the beginning, is that clicking and dragging and then press play.
It is possible that you have lots of friends, or maybe you have only a friend or two.
And then remember, that is the 50 speed, so it is a little quick. And kids may or may not need it that fast, so they can change that in the settings. So that is how you use this toolbar on Google Chrome. Did you find that registration, Rebecca? I saw someone ask something about that in the chat.
I did. I put it in the bit.ly that we shared earlier because I can't post a link.
Right. Awesome. So it's in the bit.ly that if you're looking for the teacher registration, you'll find that in that bit.ly/dig in RW, I believe, is what that was. Yeah. So it'll be there. Okay. So for the reading tools, again, we have the play feature, whether you are in slides, a Google document, or if you are on a PDF, as well as the screenshot reader, which will read images for the students if they take a little screenshot of that image. Okay, so the next tool that we are going to talk about is the dictionary and the picture dictionary tool.
Okay, so these are two of my favorite for our K through 2 learners. With the dictionary, it's kind of like any normal dictionary, highlight a word they don't know, and it'll pop up with the definition, the word definition, and they can obviously listen to that. But what's really cool is the picture dictionary. And Kathleen just told me that they can actually grab that image and plop it into their Google Doc or Google Slide, which is really powerful because they can look up any word and have those images. Say they're working on vocabulary for school, homework, working with their families at home. I think that's really great for family and community.
Yes, and go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that you're going to show us since I don't have control.
Yeah, so if I just write the earth is round, and just like Rebecca said, if I highlight the word earth, I can come to the the dictionary, and it gives me the definition of the earth. And I can also press play, so it will read the definition to me. Of course, it's Read&Write, so we want to do that.
The planet that we live on, Earth, is very pretty from...
So students can click on play and have the words read to them. And then notice what I just did. I clicked before the word round. I didn't have to select it. I just clicked before it, and then Read&Write knows that I want to know the definition. So I can play
round,
the word,
noun,
and then the definition. So I like that as well, that if they come to a word they don't know, they can click in front of it and press play,
round,
and it pronounces it for them. So if I click in front of earth and go to the picture dictionary, it gives me the different pictures of earth. And notice how I can click and just drag it right in. What? Isn't that amazing? It's pretty exciting stuff, y'all.
It's a lot faster for K2 teachers who teach that insert image from web, and then they have to go type it in and search. So I love that feature.
Yeah, that's a good
round.
And again, it'll play for you as well. Now, the question that all of you are thinking is, what about those bad words that students would never, ever, ever say? Read&Write, the people at Read&Write, they have done a really good job of going through and taking those out to where students cannot add those. So if they were to put a word that's inappropriate for school and then try to get a picture of it, it's not going to work. And I will not show that to you. I'm sure that you can all figure that out and test that out on your own time. But trust me that they have done that. So that's the dictionary and the picture dictionary tool. Very easy to use. I don't think there's anything more on that, Rebecca. What do you think?
No, I think that's a straightforward one.
Pretty much.
That's in our core ones to definitely introduce first. We did have a question that keeps repeating that I want to confirm with you. When our teachers go and sign up for the free account, they're kind of asking, who do we put as admin and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And I just said, whatever is specific to your school.
The district admin is me, Kathleen Reese.
Okay.
Yep. And if you can type my crazy last name in there for them, they can type, I'm the contact for the district for Read and Write. So I will find a really good way to answer questions for you all, so I'm not bombarded with 6,000 emails, but you can email if you have a question, and I will be the contact for that. So the other question I just saw too, as a new teacher, is there a list of all these tools?
Oops, someone deleted my link. I'll put it back in there for them.
If you're a new teacher, we have these tools that we're going over today on our jcps.me/NTI page. So you can find those there. And then also there was a different question that I thought I saw a different question, but maybe not. Maybe it was that admin. Okay, moving on. All right, so that's the dictionary and the picture dictionary. So the next tool that we are going to talk about is the translator tool. And this is exciting as well, I think. Many of us have a population of students, a Yale population that speak more than one language. Those kiddos are much smarter than me. I can only speak one language. So let's see. Rebecca, you want me to speak about this one?
Sure.
Okay.
So it's kind of basically the same as that one single click dictionary aspect, except for if they pop that it kind of looks like a shuffle button, in my opinion. That'll translate that word into whatever language they have in their settings set. So if they want earth in Spanish, they can click it and click down, and it'll give them their translations, and they can press play.
Yep.
Mundo. Conectar a tierra.
Oops.
And it is specific for just single words. I know that somebody already asked me if they could highlight the entire thing and have it start translating. But when I played around with it and read the info, it was just that single word that you can translate.
Yes, and it does, and it works just like you said, just like the picture dictionary and the dictionary. So, when you do introduce this to your students, once they understand the translator or once they understand the dictionary tool, it will be much easier for them to use the translator tool. So it allows for single words to be translated and spoken aloud for those languages. And then also the translation language can be changed in that options menu. So if you have students that do not speak Spanish, they speak a different language, those languages are in the options menu. And that is going to be something that we are going to add to our video that we make for students and for parents, and that we'll add on our NTI 2.0 website. So is how to do that, because I know that'll be a big question for many of our parents and students. So we will have a video on how to do that for you to pass out to them, but also for them to find there as well. All right, so moving right along here. This is something that the company Text Help, that's who makes Read and Write, they are having a blended learning virtual conference, and you can register by going to this link on slide 14. So I've registered, I think it's August 18th through 20th. I'm not sure I'll make all day every day, but I do plan to hop in and see what they have going on and see what I can learn at that conference. So I hope that you will join me. It's absolutely free. So that's something to keep in mind as well. One thing that I wanted to mention about Read-Write, and I think this may have been the question I saw earlier. Read and Write is the toolbar that anyone can purchase and use. Some people ask about using a text reader like on K-Prep or for map assessments. And the answer to that is, for map assessments, there is a on the math test, a reader option for your students that have that on their IEPs. So that's available for the math. And then for K-Prep, there's a completely separate text reader for K-Prep. So students cannot use Read and Write on K-Prep if that's what's listed in their IEP to have a reader. They have to use the reader provided by the state. And your building administrator, testing administrator, coordinator, she or he will be able to request that if that's something that your school wants to do. So Read and Write, again, cannot be used on K-Prep. They do have their own text reader that they use, and that's a very, very common question. Okay, so on slide 15, we have a couple of different resources for you. The digital learning channel that you are on right now, we actually have a playlist set up, and these videos are very short. And I've went back here in the past week and watched a couple of them just to make sure to freshen up my brain from since I haven't used this in about a year or so. So these are just short videos from the company. There's a playlist listed there, as well as the quick reference guide toolbar. So all of the tools that you will, all of the tools that you will need to know about on that toolbar are inside this folder. So this is one big folder full of a bunch of information, but this quick toolbar, you can see the text to speech. It tells you what it does and how do I make the tool work. So this might even be something that you want to give to your parents for them to be able to have when home with the students. But again, it's a lot of information, and that's why we're not going to go over every single thing, but it does have every single tool that is available listed on here with how you use it and what exactly it does. So that's really helpful.
Yeah, and one thing that Kathleen and I are going to have for our families and community is an additional video that you can share with them for this tool so that they have access and understanding.
Yep, you're exactly right. And then the other thing too is on that folder that I was just in, there's a parent support document. And I think this does a really good job for our parents. It breaks it down a little bit smaller and not as much information. And so it has for Read and Write for Windows and then the Google Chrome. And you are more than welcome. The trainer told us you're more than welcome to pass these out to the parents as you see fit. Now at the bottom, you see Equatio. And Equatio is the math version of Text Help. So it's also a Google extension, and I have really exciting news. Do you think I should share it with them, Rebecca?
I think so. I think they're ready.
Okay. So we've also pushed for the district to get Equatio for all K-12 for JCPS, and that is going to the board for approval as well. So really, really excited about that, and more to come on Equatio. If you don't know what that is, it's a toolbar for math. That will also do some reading, but also has several different math tools and things for the kids to use and for teachers. So pretty exciting stuff happening here in JCPS. All right, I'm going to close out of that. And now as we go down further on this presentation, the next one that's on there is called the Check It tool. It used to be the spell check. It was called spell check, but now they've changed it to Check It. And that is going to be that first tool that you see. Not here, I'm lying. Right here in the far left corner when you are in a Google Doc. So when I'm in a Google Doc, I have the little Check It button, and it does just what it says it will do.
Well, you got to have some errors in there. That's a perfect sentence.
This is true. Let's see.
The earth is no round ball. The earth is no round ball.
Oh, no.
All right. So when you click on it, there we go. Sorry, it's coming up. It's supposed to make a purple line underneath, and then it tells me that I can correct it with ball. So it's just a spell checker. But if students are already used to using Read-Write, they can use this as a way to spell check their words. So when it's on, the purple line will show up. When it's off, it will not. So you can see that little purple line right there. And that is the Check It tool.
And it should do if your kiddos are not pressing shift for that first letter of their sentence, which I know they love to use lowercase i's. And it should do punctuation and capitalization, which is so great for our KCAN2 friends out there.
You're exactly right. And so see, even for some adults, right, that we forget to
Yes.
capitalize things. So right there, the letter I has a little purple line underneath it telling you that it's spelled incorrectly or it needs to be capitalized. They click on it, and there you go. It fixes it for them. So that is the Check It tool, which is on this next slide. And then right after that, we have that word prediction tool. My kids loved this tool once I introduced it to them. And word prediction does just what it says. When it's purple and turned on, and if you use Read and Write in the past, that's new how they put that purple line underneath that, it's much easier for kids to see whether it's on or off. It is already starting to predict for me. And as the students use it more and more, Read and Write will learn their language and how they write, and it will know what they're trying to type. You can see it predict.
Open.
It predicts for them. And then also my favorite thing is that it reads the word to them.
Open. 2.
So if I'm not sure
Opened.
which one is swung or swings,
Swings.
I can hover over it and it reads it to me, and then I can click on it and it puts that word in there for me. So that is pretty neat.
I think it's really cool. You could do like a mystery sentence with so many different, it's almost like a thesaurus in a way for the kids.
That's a great idea. Idea. Yeah. So there are so many different ideas and things that you can do with this. And I can't wait to have another show where we can talk about that, Rebecca, because that's where it really gets fun, is thinking about the different ways that you can use this with your kids. And if you have any of those ideas, please throw them in the chat. I know there's some really interesting and creative ways to use the highlighter tool for sure. And that's a good example with the prediction. So that is the prediction tool. Pretty easy, self-explanatory. Now the screen masking, Rebecca, do you want to talk about that one? I'm going to go to this website here.
Sure. That one's pretty simple and straightforward. When you're on a website, you might have a lot of stuff going on. You've got your toolbar up top and you really can't concentrate and find that line where you want to start reading. I think we kind of use those in guided reading, but to have that virtually is really nice. So those kiddos can concentrate exactly on those lines. Because when you get a lot of text like this has, you can easily get lost when it's not paper right in front of you.
Yep. So it just does exactly what it says. It screen masks, gets the focus on the words that they're wanting to read. Now notice over here, when I clicked on it, this popped up. So I can move this little guy around, but I can also click on that settings, and it will let me change my background color. So if I wanted the background color to be pink, wozers, wow, you could do that. All right. So that is the screen masking tool. Pretty easy to use. Again, it has the purple line underneath it. So if you have a student that's like, I can't get this pink off my screen, to say, click on that purple line and it will go off. All right. The highlighting tool. So again, I've spoke about this a lot, so I'm glad that we're getting to it, Rebecca. I didn't think we would get to all these today.
I'm excited. We still have 12 minutes.
I know, 12 minutes. We'll go. Hopefully you're putting your questions on that document that we can go back and check or in the chat. So with the highlighting the text tool, if I go back to this Women's History Month, we have several highlighters here. And if my teacher wants me to highlight the state, I can click on the yellow and click where I want it to highlight, and it will highlight that word.
Kathleen, they are asking what is the district website that they put when they register.
What is the district website?
They're not sure what to put.
Jefferson.kyschools.us or whatever the homepage is. It'll be fine.
That's what I think. Okay,
yep,
I'll add it.
Good question. Just put the JCPS homepage. All right. So when students want to select text, they will select the text, click on the highlighting tool, and it will highlight that text for them. So as they're reading, if they are told to remember important things in the text, they can select it, press the highlight tool. And the even better part about this is once they're finished highlighting, there's a collector. So I can click on the collect highlights button and it will bring up this box wanting to know which ones do I want to collect and how do I want to collect them by color or position, and they can press OK. And so then what it does is it creates a new document that will prompt me up there. You get to see the allow permissions because I haven't done that yet. It'll create a new document that will open up a Google Doc and have all of my highlighted text there for me with what the resource where it came from, as well as my email address saying that I'm the one that highlighted them. So if you have students researching, this is a great way to teach them, first off, about citing their sources, right? Because it gives the website right here, but also how you can go through text and find that important information and not copy and paste an entire paragraph off of a website. So that is called the highlighting highlighter. And what also it does, this is a Google Doc. So that automatically is going in my Google Drive. So if students collect highlights, it will go create this file for them and go into their Google Drive. So I think that is a really amazing tool. And again, something that if for your older kids, it's great to introduce now, but as maybe if they're a little bit younger, you may want to hold off on that a little bit and wait for that one. One thing that I did not mention is with the PDF reader. If I can go back to that right now, I'm going to jump back for a second. Earlier, when we were talking about the PDF reader, I said that if it was a PDF that was found online, that little PDF box would kind of pop up over on the left side. Do you remember me saying that, Rebecca? I don't think I made that up.
I think we're on that little diploma.
Yep, on the diploma. So right here, that little PDF box pops up. But if I have a PDF that is in my Google Drive, so I've saved it into my Google Drive, when I open it like this one and the resources that you are going to receive today from Text Help, I don't have that little PDF box over here, all right? So notice this open with box. If you click down on that and you have Read and Write installed, one of your options is going to be Read and Write. So when I click on Read and Write, it is going to connect me to Read Write. And notice what happens up here. This is tech tip number 1. This little bitty pop-up box, and I barely saw it, you'll barely see it if you're not paying attention, said that a pop-up was blocked. So if you see that little red X, you have to actually click on it. And if you don't mind, I waited to do this. I'm taking a screenshot for later for instructions, but I don't want to continue blocking. I want to always allow those pop-ups from Read Write. So I'm going to click on OK. And now it's my computer hopefully won't freeze up on me. And what that's going to do is it's going to enable me to be able to use that toolbar on this PDF document that's in my drive. So that's another way. There's 2 different ways to use the PDF reader. Come on. There it goes. It should prompt you to sign in is what it's supposed to do. There we go. So now I have this opened up and it looks very similar to what we were looking at before. So 2 different ways to look at PDFs. If you have a PDF in your drive or a PDF that's found online. And again, there's that screen masking tool. So the same tool here, as well as the dictionary and the play and screenshot reader. Oops, close out of this first. I didn't mean to do that. The last one is the vocabulary tool, and that is here. But when I went, I guess it must be, yep, here it is. The vocabulary tool is right here on a Google Doc. So it's not on the slides, but the vocabulary tool is a tool that you can use to create a list of vocabulary words by their word, meaning, and symbol. So if I were to select a bunch of words and click on this vocabulary tool, it would put all of those words I had selected into this table with a picture of them and their meaning. So that's kind of neat, and it can be used for many ways as well in the classroom.
I think that teachers would really love to use that in their guided reading groups when they're pulling out those words that they review in their guided reading books. I know we have a lot of digital versions now, but that would be perfect. And then they have it in their drive and they can work on them at home.
Yep.
Love.
You got it. So let's see. What else? Did we miss anything else? Rebecca, let me think back here for a second. Do we have any questions on that Google Doc that we haven't answered?
I think I've answered a lot. So that how-to video for our families, we are going to make that and it will be published this Friday. We're all kind of turning all of those tech tools we introduced today into a family and community video so that your families have access to the tool as well. So those will be posted Friday on our NTI 2.0 page.
Yep. And also I saw a question about we try, and if they're not here, you can email the presenters, but we are trying really hard to, I'm on the wrong week here. There we go. 1 week ahead. We're linking in those slides. So this presentation is here for you. You can get it there. Let's see. Someone was typing.
Here's one. On a shared Google Doc, will others see one student's highlight as well?
Ooh, good question.
So if we're on a shared Google Doc with text, can other students see that student highlighting when they're on Read and Write?
That's a good question. And I don't know.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
Rebecca, I just shared it. I shared this with you. I don't know what Rebecca's situation is or how she's set up, but I shared it with her. She can hop in a second and look and see.
Right, I'm on the way.
Now this is my highlighted. So what this is the I collected those highlights from my women's history page, and then it made this document. So if I'm not sure if that's what you're asking, then yes, when Rebecca signs in, she should see these because they're just.
Yeah, I see them.
Yeah. So yes, Rebecca's in right now and she can see them highlighted. Great question. I was looking for anything else that we missed.
Where do we find the document cheat sheets and the quick reference guide?
Great question. So let me go back up here. On slide 2, underneath this pretty purple and green, there's a folder of materials. So, and we can select that for you and paste it under your question, whoever asked that. But that folder of materials has things in there for parents, students, and you. And again, we will reference that in our videos too for parents on how they can access those too. So it's on slide 2. And then the quick reference guide, I linked it when we were speaking. Oh, the quick reference guide. I linked the wrong thing here, so I'm gonna fix that for you, is on slide 15. There we go. So the quick reference guide is on slide 15, and that's that document full of all the different tools. But again, remember to start small and remember that you're gonna have to, as we know, we're virtual, so teach the kids slowly how to select that text and use that toolbar. And I really would encourage you to show this to your entire class. And, allow the kids that want to use it in some things that you're doing. Please don't limit this to just your ECE or EL students. Some of my students, even I didn't think they would need it. They still enjoyed using it. And something I wanted to mention, my very good friend at Wilder Elementary, so shout out if she's out in the chat anywhere, Erin Masterson, one of my best friends, she and I co-taught together at Wheatley with this tool. And while we used it, she was getting her national boards. And so our language mechanics scores were just skyrocketed from working with her 4th grade students that last year. We were at Wheatley, and they even to listen to each other. So they would share their writing with each other, and then they would listen to it. So having them listen to their own writing with Read and Write, they type it all up and then making them listen to it to see what that really sounds like. And then having them listen to their peers was really, really beneficial. So that is a wrap, I do believe, Jim. We're finishing a few minutes early unless I can look over the chat again to see if there's anything else.
I'm not seeing too much.
Yes, Ryan knew. Erin is amazing. Very, very talented woman.
You guys did a great job. You covered, once again, so much information we're getting out this afternoon, all day today with the core tools that we're looking at through JCPS. There's a lot to offer, and don't feel overwhelmed by all of this. It is a lot, but remember, the people that are presenting this to you, as we're talking about it, we've been working with this for quite some time. Work your way into it, ease into it, find out how it best works for you, and go from there. And when you have questions, reach out to us. We are your digital innovation leaders. Kathleen Receiver and myself are over Zone 2. Rebecca Reynolds and Jack Bosley are over Zone 1 elementaries. Zone 3 would be Russ Hockenberry and Stephen Durham. Middle schools have Kyle Chandler and Elaine Abernatha. And of course, in high schools have the awesome Matt Balka and Danielle Washburn. And our glorious leader is here, who's going to be leading into the next presentation on the NTI 2.0 strategy, toolkits, and the district portal. They walk through all of that amazing information.
Can't wait to watch you, Heather. Thanks for having us.
Hey, guys. Hey, Dream Team. Thanks, Kathleen and Rebecca. You guys did an awesome job, as always. So lucky to get to work with you. And Jim, you are holding the fort down, moderating this afternoon. Hello, remarkable JCPS teachers and educators. It's such an honor to be here with you today. I'm Heather Worrell. I am a teacher, social studies teacher. So shout out to the social studies peeps, middle school by trade. I'm a library media specialist, a school leader. And now I get to be a digital innovation leader here in JCPS. So I'm going to go ahead, Jim, and share my screen. Here we go. Jim, how's it looking? Can you see my screen?
I see me, so it's not too bad right now.
Okay, what about now?
Yeah, we got you. You're going to go ahead and present?
Yes, I am going to present. I'm going to kind of go back and forth between a couple slides. So I'll go to full screen here in just a minute.
That's all right. I'm going to zoom in on the screen, make it a little bit bigger for everyone.
Okay. I'm going to turn on let me just go ahead. That might be easier for everyone. And I'll just kind of do my best to go back and forth because I know we need to make sure to use those closed captions. How does that look, Jim?
That's outstanding.
Okay. So I love talking about strategy. And I want to back up. And this is going to be kind of like one of those dolls. Jim, do you know one of those dolls? They're like wooden. And when you take one doll out, there's a smaller doll. Then you move her and there's a smaller doll. You know what I'm talking about? And how
Absolutely,
then you put
the Russian stacking dolls.
Yeah, those stacking dolls. And I'm going to kind of take these dolls apart and let you see all the pieces of the beautiful NTI 2.0 strategy that our district has built. We have been working for weeks on this strategy behind the scenes. And, now, the governor's made a big announcement and a lot of districts are scrambling. But I just want to give a shout out to Dr. Polio for making this announcement a while back. So we've had lots of time to prepare. And I want you to kind of see how all the pieces of this strategy fit together. So these are the slides that your principals got. And what happened over the summer is a big team. We had all these NTI 2.0 subcommittees. And there was one for elementary, one for middle, one for high, one for AIS. And they all came together. They were comprised of all different stakeholders to make decisions about NTI 2.0. Lots of teachers sat on those committees. And I think sometimes, when I was a teacher, I would think the people at the district level, they're making all the decisions. They don't get our input. They don't care what we think. And I want you to know that's not true. We really do value your opinions. And I tell everyone I'm a teacher on special assignment. I'm always a teacher first. I've just gotten to be on special assignment in a bunch of different roles. So from those subcommittees, we synthesized all of the recommendations into this one doc and then busted it out for everybody into slides to kind of help people digest it and work through the recommendations slide by slide. And I think it's important for teachers to know that a lot of voices came to the table to make these recommendations. So I'm going to click through the ones that are going to apply to us today. And I want to give a shout out to CDLI. They have done an awesome job. If you missed any of their sessions yesterday, they presented live, and we also have all their on-demand videos about key pieces of the curricular and instructional resources on the digital learning channel, which I'm going to show you guys in just a little bit. But shout out to Susan Price and her team. We've been working hard, her team especially behind the scenes for weeks now on these resources. Jim, were you going to say something? I thought I heard you. Okay, I'm just going to keep going. Interrupt me if you need to. So recommended instructional strategies and methods. There's all kinds of different recommendations from the district. So let's get to some of the digital resources. So as a district, our word for NTI 2.0 is consistency. We want to pick some really good resources and make sure that we provide extensive training so everyone feels comfortable integrating them into their NTI 2.0 instructional design. So next week, actually, I think starting tomorrow and into next week, we have tons of trainings about these core curricular and instructional digital resources. Today, the JCPS Digital Innovation Team, they have been presenting on the core digital tools. So we've had sessions today on Google Classroom, Google Meet, Screencastify, Jamboard, and like you saw, Kathleen and Rebecca just did one on Read and Write. So you can use tools other than the ones that we recommend, but just make sure, we take student data privacy very seriously in this district. And sometimes when you use some of those freemium tools and you input student data into them, it creates an issue for students, and it's not safe. So please don't share any of our student data. Make sure that we have a data sharing agreement on file for any tools outside of this list. And you can actually go to jcps.me/software. I think it's that. We'll make sure to get that in the chat if you want to check and see if any other tools you'd like to use are approved. But just remember, none of us can argue that our student data privacy and our student security is of utmost importance as educators. Our job is to take exceptional care of our kiddos. So please be very careful when you use other tools outside of this list. So from here, all of these trainings and recommendations, how do we provide exceptional support for our teachers? So this year, and I'm going to stop sharing. Is everybody still doing okay out there, Jim? I can't see anyone. Okay. Perfect. So from there, we built this. It's actually jcps.me/NTI. And Jim double checked me, but I think that is the website. And some people on my team, if you don't mind to hop in and just clarify, I think it's jcps.me/NTI. We created these toolkits to help support each group with using the tools that we're recommending for NTI 2.0. So if we click on the teacher toolkit, you'll see right here at the very top, this is the live virtual learning schedule. So I think at one point we had like 900 teachers here in a session with us today. So the virtual training schedule, you'll see here, you'll see links to presentations. There's CDLI that shared yesterday. Here's our team sharing today. Tomorrow we have more curricular instructional resources. There's Gale and Edmentum and those core recommended NTI 2.0 tools. And then we have on Thursday, those recommended assessment and grading recommendations from the district, and actually more trainings on some of those tools as well. So lots of good stuff on there. And we have the schedule for next week as well. And it's linked right at the top of your teacher toolkit. We want to take exceptional care of you guys. Teachers, we value you and we want you to feel supported. So anything that you need to reach out to our team and let us know, and we can work to provide support and trainings moving forward. So on this toolkit, you will see the curriculum frameworks. There's the teacher backpack. They talked a lot about resources in the teacher backpack yesterday. So if you missed those trainings, I'm going to show you right here on the JCPS Digital Learning channel. Here are, I know Lacey and this addressing knowledge gaps with your kids coming back to school and the gaps in their knowledge. Lacey and Jenny Aberly did an awesome job. So if you go to jcpsdigitallearning.com, we have on-demand trainings ready to go for each of the sessions and recommendations here on this toolkit. And also their presentations are linked. Remember, I told you that doll that just keeps stacking. We try to pull it all together for you as seamlessly as possible. Also here you have other templates. We had the summer adventures and people raved about it. And that was Stacy Edelman and the team over there. So there's some really cool different planning templates you can use. We are going to have all the on-demand links for these tools in the next couple days after we have those trainings. And then of course we have our core digital tools, and we are actually updating all of these links from today. We actually did this one just this morning. Then some other department resources for teaching and learning from several of our JCPS departments. And for you Purple Cow go-getters out there, if you want to start earning more digital agility certifications, we have links on how to do that below. The student toolkit is also underway, and we're developing that for students, but I'm really excited about the new NTI 2.0 family and community toolkit. This is really coming together, and our goal is to have all of this looking great and ready to go by Friday of this week. So a lot of this is still under development, but that's a key piece of our strategy as well. The last slide that I want to talk about is the district portal, and then how those link to the NTI toolkit. So here's a couple more dolls in the equation. One thing that we try to do is, remember the word for the year is consistency. Let me actually go back to this one. And so we try as a parent, and I have 3 kids, and I don't know how many of you out there watching this have kids as well, but it can be very frustrating. Hold on one second, let me get out of this. And confusing as a parent to go from like one school system to another school system for NTI, et cetera, et cetera. So we tried our best to make it as easy on parents as possible. So if you look at the district portal, and Heather, where is this linked? Well, it's going to be on our JCPS webpage, but it's also linked right here. Click here to access School NTI 2.0 portals. So if we open that up, it'll take us there. And we want every school, as a parent, if I want to know what is my kid supposed to do this week, a parent can go here, and schools are actually in the process of populating the school portals and linking them in. And the school will link their page in here. And then as a parent, I can click on it. And let me tell you, with NTI 1.0, schools did an awesome job with this. If we take a look at Bates, I'm just going to click on Bates. I love Bates. They used the school portal template, and they added their own little flair at the top. You see there's somebody looking at that right now. I wanted to point out Height. I love Sherry Barnett, the principal out there at Height. They're going to link in their family site as well. But one cool thing that Height did that I thought was fun is we look at their 2nd grade, because now the question is, well, Heather, what do I link on here? If I am this teacher, if I'm a teacher at Height, what do I link? And we really want to give you some teacher autonomy. We don't care what you link, as long as you link some information for parents to be able to follow along with what their kid's supposed to be doing that week. So it could be a Google Doc. It could be a Google site. It could be, I've seen slides used really, really well, but really just anything that you can link that helps the parents understand on Monday, my kid's doing this. Tuesday, my kid's supposed to be doing this. And people are like, well, why wouldn't we link a Google Classroom? Jim, why wouldn't we link a Google Classroom here for parents?
Here. Yeah, the reason you wouldn't link a Google Classroom there is because, of course, we know at this time, after NTI 1.0, parents cannot get in because they are not part of the JCPS domain unless they're coming in with a student's email account.
That's right. So we can't link a Google Classroom here for parents because Google Classroom is not parent facing. It's for the kids. It's housed inside of our JCPS Google domain. So if I were a parent and I clicked on her Google Classroom, if that's what was linked in here, I couldn't log in unless my child was sitting right next to me to log in. And plus, Google Classroom has like an instructional flow. It's not simple enough for parents to follow. We also wouldn't want to link in an email. That's not really the point, to email the teacher. So if we look at, well, what are some things we should link in? I like how Height is using, they have kind of some a Google site, and their 2nd grade teachers are going to be filling this in. They kind of have a format. I also like, I was looking at Mazik. Let me go back here. Mazik they're not using a site, they're using a Google Doc. So if I click on Kirk's class, he's going to be populating. So as a parent, this is the week. Here's some assignments that my child should be doing. Here's the teacher's office hours, syllabus, etc. So this is a really good format as well. I've also seen schools do this same kind of format on a Google slide. So lots of schools are in the process of populating their teachers. So as a parent, I can quickly find my child's teacher. And then when I click on the link as a parent, it shows me what is my kid supposed to be doing. So lots of schools in the process of doing that before we get back to school. So shout out to these schools who have already started linking them in. And if you need any ideas, go back to NTI 1.0 and see what teachers did and what they linked in there. There's so many brilliant people, educators in JCPS, that I'm sure you will get some great ideas. So that is NTI the district portal. And I'm really excited to say that the district portal is going to have a stronger presence on our district website this time around. So I think that was one of the things we heard in 1.0 is that parents really wanted this information right here, but it was kind of hard to find during 1.0. So I've worked with Renee Murphy, and this is going to have a very strong presence on our district webpage for 2.0. Okay, so lots of good things connected together, and I think I covered the key pieces that apply to our team and to this session. But as we move forward, we are continuing to provide trainings on all of this other stuff in the days ahead. So if we go back to the schedule, we were talking about core digital tools. Tomorrow, we get in deeper into some of those curricular and instructional things that you can integrate into your instructional design. So that'll be important. And we also do a couple repeats of some of the sessions we saw yesterday with our CDLI friends. Like I said, assessment and grading tomorrow. And I don't know why that's looking like that. I think that's the main link. So Jim, I'm going to stop sharing and pull that other part back up in just a second. Do you have any questions in the chat or comments or anything, feedback?
No, lots of people saying hello and chat going on, but I have not really seen any questions other than looking for the links and put those in there with the jcps.me/MTI. And of course, jcps.me/software for checking on that software approval on anything. Of course, like you said, we provide core tools for everyone to use. We are providing videos on those core tools, but you're not limited to those. But of course, make sure if you're going to be putting any data in anywhere, any names of students, things like that, you check out the jcps.me/software page to check on the status of the software you're wanting to use. Also, there was a little bit of confusion when we first started out, and people were asking, is there a template that we're supposed to use as teachers to produce our pages or our site for the district portal? As you saw when Ms. Worrell was going through the district portal, some people were using Google Doc, another school was using the Google website and linking things in there. I think this is where we want to hit that key word that we're pushing is consistency throughout the school.
Yes, so consistency throughout the school is important. So we really want to, I know I hear from teachers all the time, teacher autonomy is important. Some teachers will make a beautiful Google site and have all of their weekly assignments on there for parents. And if Google site is your jam, it's an advanced tool, and you want to create that for parents, we encourage you to do that. We don't want to hold you back. For some teachers, just a Google Doc with a table on it, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, is about all that they're comfortable with. If that's your jam, we want you to be able to do that as parent facing, or a Google slide. Like I said, maybe you have a Monday slide, a Tuesday slide. We really want you to have autonomy and decide which one you want to do and link to your name. So that's really what we're recommending. Now, what your principal may decide may be different. Maybe the whole school is going to go with one format, and that's fine. That's up to the principal. But we just want to show you good ideas and give you examples to think about. Jim, I also wanted to show real quick. Let me go back here. Let's talk about next week. I think we have like 10 minutes or so. So next week on the training schedule, I want to show you. So we have on Monday. Now, so this week we were really just kind of showing you the tools. We were showing you the curricular tools with the frameworks, the digital tools, the digital curricular resources. I mean, all those things. So Monday's really about now, how do I start blending those things together? How can I take these things and blend them together to create amazing learning experiences for kids? And, I know our team is working on supporting teachers with how can students design backpack artifacts at home and work on projects they're passionate about. And we're really excited about co-teaching with teachers in the coming weeks. We can join your class virtually and co-teach just like we would in a brick and mortar building. So we're excited about that. So instructional strategies and methods on Monday. Tuesday, the whole child. So lots of conversations and experts from different teams in JCPS, like how do you support the whole child during NTI 2.0? And really that is Tuesday and Wednesday. And we're actually finalizing on 8/20. We have the Affirming Racial Equity tool. We have a session on that, which is really important for teachers. So I would definitely recommend you attend that session. We also are going to populate some ESL. How do I support my English learners? My English learners in my class will have some sessions there as well. So we're still finalizing a couple things there, but everything that we say in here as a district recommendation, we want to make sure that we provide tons of support for you on the digital learning channel the rest of this week and next week. And we know that if you have any feedback, we are open to feedback. We can always get better. So please reach out to us and say, hey, have you considered doing a session on this? Or anyone on the digital innovation team, and I know our CDLI friends as well, we're open for your feedback, and we want to do great work and support our teachers in JCPS. So I am going to stop sharing. Any other questions, Jim?
No, not that I can see. Apparently there was some trouble hearing me when I was talking though, which I'm not sure why, but hopefully when I come back on, they'll be able to hear me. If they can't, please let me know if you don't hear me. But other than that, there hasn't been any questions. I think it's really great to hear the strategy coming out as far as how we're supporting all these tools and which ones we're putting out and why.
Well, and I think it's super important for our teachers and just everyone across the district know that there were several committees that met and gave recommendations and people from all different roles in the district. And then they were, like I said, synthesized together. And I feel like we have a very solid NTI 2.0 strategy for our district. And I'm excited about the supports that we have moving forward. So teachers, like I said, if you have any other ideas or ways that we can get better, the main thing is we're trying to make sure everything is connected together. So those teacher toolkits, everything you need, the virtual training schedule, the videos, and just like today, I want to make sure everyone knows every presentation that you've seen today, because I think I just saw in the chat, someone says it's a lot, it's overwhelming. And that's why we're trying to do a few things really, really well, instead of trying to do a million things. But if you look back at the training for today, all of the presentations are linked right in here. So you can have them on demand whenever you like. And also don't forget, everything we've presented this week and next week will be available on demand on the Teacher NTI 2.0 playlist. So we give you the power of pause. And Jim, that's really all that I have. Do we have another session up today?
Oh, absolutely. I think we have two more up today, actually. Let me look really quick here. We have using Jamboard for instruction with Sarah Brock and Katie Wolf.
That's right.
Yes. And then we have some updates to Google Meet with breakout rooms and other such things with Rebecca Reynolds, our team on here for the second time today. Rebecca Reynolds.
That's right. I think Rebecca Reynolds is talking about how to use Google Meet and do a breakout room version, because a lot of teachers are like, how can we do breakout rooms with Google Meet? And I think she's going to have some good tips for those small group instruction in an NTI setting. So I think I see those two rock star teachers hopping in. We always love it. And my advice, any teacher watching today, if you are using these tools and you feel really successful and we can feature you on the channel in the coming weeks, please reach out to your school's digital innovation leader and say, hey, I'd love to come on with you and share how I'm using this tool. We're so proud of all of our teachers, and thank you for making it happen for kids during this tough time. And I'm going to turn it over to you and these awesome teachers. Hey, girls.
All right, thank you, Miss Worrell. Before we get started with them, hoping you can hear me now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the national standards for quality as far as online teaching. Now, these were linked into the presentations that have gone out to the principals and hopefully have filtered down somewhat to most of the teachers out there, if not all of them. Be awesome. We talk about these as we're doing our videos. These standards go through and talk about if you want to take a lesson you've made or a unit you've made, you're working with your PLC, that's a great time to kind of look at these. And they were endorsed by KDE, which is why we pulled them in. You got professional responsibilities under Standard A. Standard B would be your digital pedagogy. Standard C is community building, which we talked about this morning. Myself and Kyle Chandler were doing Google Meet. Standard D, learner engagement. Standard E, digital citizenship. That is a great one to start the year with if you want to talk about digital citizenship. How do they look at it and put a take on it? Standard F is diverse instruction. Very important for us to keep that engagement high. Standard G, assessment and measurement. And Standard H, instructional design. All great pieces to look at, and you can move through them on here and it will break out on them. You see I've zoomed in on the Standard C with community building, and it breaks those down even further. We know how standards work. These are great ones that we're looking at as far as online instruction. And I will put the link in the chat since I'm here. And just wanted to give you an idea because I know we've referenced those a couple times throughout the day today. And there you go. I put the link in the chat for you. And I want to kick back over. And another link people were looking for, if you've been looking for the PD information that goes along with all the amazing presentations. And as Ms. Worrell said, these will be linked later on into the digital learning channel, which if you haven't yet, hit that red subscribe button down there. Very important. Click on that. You'll stay updated whenever these videos roll out after we break them up into bite-sized chunks for you and edit out all the weirdness like me talking so much. So let's see. We are Sarah and Katie. Are you home?
We're here.
There we go.
We were waiting for you to finish. Mm-hmm.
I am long-winded and I could talk all day.
Well, you've got 3 more minutes if you'd like to, add a little anything you got.
If you want, I can keep going. I'll plug the digital learning channel all day because there's so much great information on there. Go there, search it. There's hundreds of videos on digital content, not just the core tools we've been looking at today. See, I can do that.
See, you're good. You are good. They picked a good one.
Got a face for radio.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, well, I will turn it over to you guys. If you're going to be presenting, I see the slides up. If you want to go ahead and, oh, you're on a Jamboard. All right, no present there. I will zoom in on that. Boom, there we go.
Yeah, I think Katie's screen is sharing the Jamboard. Okay, good.
Got it. You guys are ready to run whenever you want.
All right. Katie?
Yeah.
You ready? Okay. All right. All right. Well,
Start about introducing ourselves. I'm Katie Wolf from Klondike Lane, and we started using Jamboard during NTI back in the spring.
And I am Sarah Brock, and I am a kindergarten teacher at St. Matthew's Elementary. So we're going to go through today, and basically what we did is we just collected a bunch of ideas for Jamboard, practical ideas that you can use within your classroom, and we've categorized them with morning meeting examples, literacy examples, math examples, just stuff that you guys can take back to your classroom, your online classroom, and use this year within Jamboard. So if you're not familiar with Jamboard, I know some of the other great, fabulous people have done like the tools of Jamboard and how you utilize all the different tools there. So if you need help with that, you can visit the learning channel and check that out. So we're going to start with like morning meeting examples. So if you can see Katie's screen pulled up, we just took some, over here is this like little post-it note, the sticky note. So we just took the sticky note and added some morning meeting ideas that you could use for Jamboard. So remember, Jamboard's like an interactive whiteboard for you and your students to use. So one of the ones says Moody Monday. What puts you in a good mood when you have a bad case of the Mondays? So students could either add a sticky note and put it up there. They could put an image. Maybe that's something that puts them in a good mood. Maybe they put a picture of their family. They can use the pen tool and write something. So you would maybe post one of these little sticky notes in the middle of your screen for a morning meeting question. And maybe as kids are coming in and joining your morning meeting, they can stick up their answers. Now I teach kindergarten, so I thought at the beginning of the year, it would be easier to do more like some one-word answers for them to type in the sticky notes or write. So just something simple. What's your favorite color? Or they could put a colored dot, what's your favorite food? Over there in that bottom corner. What's the question Wednesday? So the answer is watermelon. What's the question? So students would have to, maybe they say something about, a fruit. So what's the question? And the answer would be watermelon. I'm on top of the world Tuesday, just talking about like your accomplishments. I know a lot of people within their morning meetings use like, the Moody Monday, question Wednesday. So those are just a few examples. What makes you feel loved? So they could put something there and then describe yourself in one word. So just quick morning meeting question examples that you could use within Jamboard. All right, next up, another morning meeting idea that we had talked about and discussed is like a little bit of a check-in. So say maybe you want to check to see how your students are feeling, engaging. So over on the left is just like it says, I'm great, I'm okay, I'm meh, I'm struggling, I'm having a tough time, I'm not doing great. So we know some people in classrooms use numbers. So if you want it to be more like anonymous, or maybe that's how you organize your classroom with numbers. That's why we have numbers on there. Or you could have the kids finding their names. So they have to find their name and drag their sticky note over to the left side, and they put on how they're feeling. So this is a good tool for teachers. You can gauge how your students are. If you have a lot of your friends down there and I'm not doing great category, that's something you as a teacher can maybe meet with those students and talk to and see kind of what's going on and get a pulse in your classroom. And it's something super fast, super easy. So you can see Katie doing that. All right, next is another fun game called Four Corners. So a lot of you might do this in your classroom using the actual four corners of your classroom, right? You're asking a question and the students are going each in the four corners. So we thought it would be a great idea, something simple and easy to use within your morning meeting. Now you could do this for content as well, but we put it in our morning meeting ideas. So the question is, what's your favorite Google tool? So you can see Katie dragging the names around, and maybe you have their names preloaded, or you can come over on the left and use the sticky notes and write their names, or the pen. The kids can come in and write their names with the pen or any of those tools. So you can see Katie writing her name right there. So she's added it to the Jamboard, and then she can move her name up there. We had done the typed names because we thought it might be a little bit easier for space within the Jamboard. So kids would pick which one they thought was the best: Google Classroom, Google Meet, Jamboard, Google Slides. So you can create any kind of four corners examples with that. All right, next up is a forced choice. So, a lot of times in morning meeting, we play Would You Rather? Would you rather go to the beach, or would you rather play in the snow? So this would be a forced example morning meeting that kids can just slide their names back and forth, and they pick which one that they would do. Once again, use that sticky note, right, for their names. You can pre-populate it, or you can have them populate it. I'm kindergarten, so at the beginning of the year, I'd probably write their names on the sticky note for them, and their practice is just the clicking and the dragging. But with your older kids, if you have older students, Katie's really good with those older kids as well. And so maybe she's modeled to teach her kids how to use the pen to write their name, or how to type in the sticky note themselves. Sometimes the drawing with the pen is a little bit hard on a Chromebook. If the kids have an iPad, it's a lot easier, but it's something that they can still do. So there's a forced choice example. So you can see Katie writing her name. Oh, see, she's good. She's great. And then you can talk about those. Talk about how the choices, how many kids picked snow, how many kids picked the beach. So, use those teacher questions and you can have even some more lessons with it. All right, so we all love number talks, right? And we know the importance and the benefits with students having those mathematical conversations and working with number talks. So Katie and I, when we were talking about this PD, and she's had a lot of experience because she works with a lot of different students and age groups, math is a great subject area to use for the Jamboard tool because students can write their math problems and it's a lot easier for them to write and have those mathematical discussions with it. So what better way than using number talks? So this might be like a primary example. So the younger kids, you just have your dot cards, your 10 frames, maybe even a Rec and Rack picture that you're putting it up like almost like a quick image. And these students are putting it up there. And how many dots are there? How do you see them? So the kids could write the number, right? They could quickly write how many are on there like Katie did. They could go over and grab a sticky note and they could type their answer, their number, how it is. And with your younger kids, you could just have them put the answer, the numerical answer up there, and then you could sit and have that discussion about how they see them. Oh, I see them, 3 on the left, 2 in the middle, 1 on the right. Someone else is going to say, oh, I see 1 on the top, 2 in the middle, 3 in the bottom. And see how Katie's using her laser tool and how she's kind of circling. So Katie sees 3 and 3 to make 6. So that's her thinking. And we know with number talks, you really want to put students' name to their thinking, right? So Katie, if she's the teacher, she might go on there and write the students' thinking. Like Sarah, 3 and 3 makes 6 and would write Sarah and write her name with it. So show that ownership. So at the beginning of the year, you might be doing more of the helping with the writing with the number talks. And then later, or with older kids, if you've modeled in the expectations, then they can write their thinking. So here is another example with number talks, but we wanted to just give you an upper intermediate example. So maybe this one, the students, can you make 36? And you've got these different numbers that they have to utilize. So if you notice, it's a little bit harder. Once again, they could write with the pen. They could do a sticky note. Maybe you're writing their thinking down. Look, Katie on the spot. She's got it.
My pen's not working. I got to get it back.
Oh, no, it's not working. Yeah, before this started, I was like, oh, man, kindergarten brain. I better figure this out for this PD. So you can write. And notice when Katie's writing as a teacher, you can see, and I'll pop up here in a minute when she gets back to it, you can kind of see her little face, which is nice, so students and teachers, you can see who it is and where they're working. So it's a great little tool within the Jamboard. So you see her face on there. Oh, look, she's even got her signs or operations. So here's another great example for math. Katie, you want to talk about the fractions?
Yeah, in the spring when we were using the Jamboard, we had originally been doing some shared lessons with students using slides. And it was really difficult when we were teaching fractions, especially to students who were just learning how to write a fraction and knowing where to put the numerator and the denominator and remembering to draw the fraction bar. So Jamboard really helped because students could tell me how to write that fraction they see in red right here. So I was able to, they would say 2 fraction bar 3, or, the numerator is 2, there's a fraction bar, and the denominator is 3. And it was just easier to write fractions than in any other Google app that we were trying to use. If you have a document camera, that's easy as well, but trying to use a digital device or digital tool, we found that Jamboard was the best for helping students write fractions. I've also seen some things in the chat about, we didn't share our slides just yet because everyone would be able to get on and access it. So when you're doing this with students, you might want to only do it with a small group because they can move stuff around and there's not a history on it. Elaine talked about that in the earlier session. Students could also write out the fraction on a sticky. And we found this just really helpful for students to be able to write their answers and practice writing fractions. Also giving students this sticky note space. This is where I want you to write your answer because sometimes they don't know where to write it or what size to write it. And just kind of giving them a space of this is where you write your answer has helped a lot. Something else that we were really struggling with online learning was when we were trying to get students to use an open number line and doing that digitally and seeing where they were. So having students use the laser to show where they thought 3/4 was or where a fraction is, or put your laser where you think something is. So you can kind of see their thinking before you move forward. And then once they do know, they can take the marker and draw a dot where they think it is. And you can just have conversations around the number line and some elementary math. Just some more examples of actually lessons that we did at Klondike using Jamboard to annotate fractions and easily draw them and using the number line below. Students were able to practice drawing or writing fractions with the numerator and the fraction bar denominator. We also used it to compare fractions by finding them on the number line, and students, the same as on the screen before, were able to use the laser to show me where they thought something was, and I could see their face pointing to something. Now, when you use the laser, you have to have an iPad for it to show up on the shared one. But as we know, just asking students to point to something is important as well. So just telling students, like, make a dot where you think this would be. And then you can always erase their dot if they were incorrect or they changed their minds.
Right. Or you as a teacher, just say, hey, use your laser and show us. And they might not, you might not be able to see it if they're not on an iPad, but then you take your laser and show it. And then you're like, oh, it was your laser right here. You're right. This shows 3/4 or 1/2, or, use those little teacher tricks.
And in the earlier Jamboard session, they show you how to insert these images, how to use fraction bars, or how to use the stickies and add to it. And students can get on and work together, or if you wanted to send, if you made a Jamboard and you want students to do them independently and send them back kind of like so you can see their individual student work, you just assign student copies just like you would anything else in Google Classroom, and then they submit it.
Right. Yeah, and I do see some questions in the chat about, like Katie was saying with like the tools and stuff, but you can insert pictures, right? Like right over here, she's got this little thing. You can insert pictures if you have them saved in your drive or like a Google image search, like she said. Or you can use I've used the snippet tool and snip something and, put an image on there. So you can do all of those things to incorporate within your Jamboard.
And the pen is over here. You get to change the width and the color. If you are using a iPad, it has like shape and writing technology where it can predict or it can tell what letters you've written. And I can give you an example of that. So if I use the predictor tool, I'll write it my handwriting and then it changes it. I've been playing with this a little bit and it is a little bit difficult when I was trying to write the fractions. So I wouldn't really recommend using the text recognition. I would just probably use a pen to do the fractions.
Yeah, and we just want students to write, right? This is something that we're interacting with and just practicing. It's not something like graded and final. So we'll just encourage students to write. And if it doesn't look perfect or whatever, we're okay with that. We're just getting them to write and interact together.
And anything that you might be doing like as a sort or organizing numbers, you could use a Jamboard because these are just Post-its that I type the fractions on, and then students would move them to place them on the number line. And then they could turn this as an assignment and you could have conversations about it. We used this at Klondike. We had students do this and then we discussed it. And it opens up for a lot of good conversation about comparing fractions, equivalent fractions, and just gives students some interaction with being able to move the numbers around and correct their work if they need to.
All right, so now we're going to move on to some sorting examples, because sorting is another great tool that you can use within Jamboard. So we all love the Jan plan and following Jan Richardson's guided reading activities, and in lots of the different levels, there's stuff with sorting. So this was just like a lesson that they do letter sound sorts. So let's say you're doing a small guided reading lesson with kids. You have like 3 or 4 kids in here and you're at the end of your lesson and you're having to sort things by the beginning sound. I just copied and pasted pictures and put them in here, and kids can take different turns. So I'm like, okay, it's Katie's turn. So she picks in an image and she drags it according to the beginning sound. Or of course, ending sounds later within Jan Plan. You could sort word families, right? Spelling patterns. The possibilities are endless here. And it's something super easy. So yes, maybe you're doing this in a small group and you all want them to work together. Or maybe it's something that you want them to do individually. You could duplicate this same Jamboard and give each person their own quote unquote slide to work on. And you go back and you talk about it and you work with each student. So either way that you would want to utilize this.
This is another example of a 3rd grade NTI back in the spring activity that we did with some students. And students read an article together and discussed the main idea. And then they all said some details that would support the main idea. And so as students were talking in a Google Meet, a teacher was typing the student's name and out what they were saying. So depending on the age of your students, you might have to write what they're saying or type what they're saying. If you have older students, you could talk about the main idea and then everybody add a detail, and then you can sort those details. If they do support the main idea, if they don't support the main idea. Just having students being able to write their thinking and then have discussions about them. Jamboard really does lend itself to that with the sticky notes. And they can build on each other's thinking. So you can start noticing if some students said the same thing and just start having those student-to-student conversations that I know our kids are going to be wanting since they can't be with their friends in person.
So here's just another quick, easy example of sorting. Okay, let's sort nouns and verbs. And then you have that discussion. Why is this a noun? Why is this a verb? And you can record their thinking. Like Katie said, after you're sorting them on the Jamboard, students can record their thinking, show evidence. How do you know? Prove why you put these are nouns or these are verbs. Or you could flip it. You could put all the words, nouns and verbs, and then the titles are down at the bottom. And the students have to sort which one is the nouns category, which one is the verbs category. I literally made this in 15 seconds. Just add a sticky note, type. It's super easy. And you can utilize them. Yep, thanks. And she just added it. That's how quick and easy it is. So there's just another literacy example of sorting. So another, big push, especially in the primary grades, is your name, right? And that's a big thing even within Jan is working with names. And one of the Jan things in the early lessons, in your PA lessons, is you cut up the student's name and you mix it up and they have to be able to put it together in order. Okay, so how could we do this digitally? How could we see this? So I just took my name, Sarah Brock, and I put a letter on each sticky note, and the students are going to have to drag and rearrange it up top into the right order. And so Katie's doing that for me. Thanks, Katie. So just something simple. You're cutting it and pasting it. And within Jan 2, they first say, cut maybe S and A are in one post-it together and R and A are another post-it together. And that's how you start off. And then as you go, you're cutting up each letter together. Now, I did notice, I thought, this would be great. And I'll put the sticky note and they can drag it on top of the writing down there. But when they click off of that board, it kind of moves behind it, and you can't really change the order like you could in Google Slides. So that's just one thing to note and to remember. So down at the bottom, I said, okay, well, use the pen and try to write your name, right? Because we still want that writing practice. So I left the line there, and then Katie's being my pen and practice. Another great thing is you can see my Bitmoji over there. You can add your little Bitmoji things to this. You could do it as feedback, right? Put a little Bitmoji thing when you see their work. You could do it as encouragement or just something fun that they can see you. So that's just another like name activity that you could do within here. All right, one of my favorite things in Reading to Teach is the questioning, right? The I think, I notice, I wonders. And we always use Post-it notes within our classroom. I give the students Post-it notes, they record their thinking. So this was perfect for Jamboard to record their thinking while reading. At the beginning, like I said, maybe I'm typing their thinking for them so they're not losing their momentum or their focus. And we put them down at the bottom and then we sort. Is this a think, a notice, a wonder? Or just giving them these thinking stems and these writing stems, and then they could add their writing or thinking on a sticky note. So Katie added one, and we could sort and we could talk and we could have those great discussions about reading and what they are noticing and wondering within it. So that's what was one of my favorites.
So another idea, and we tried this as a staff, we played Pictionary with Jamboard back right before spring break when we had the 2 weeks where we really weren't sure what was going to happen. We were trying to learn some digital tools, and we were having staff meetings where we would play with different digital tools together just to kind of expose ourselves and get comfortable with the tools before having to use them with students. And one activity that we did, Ms. Reynolds and I, it was a Pictionary game. So we asked teachers, what was the one thing that you knew you had to grab during NTI 1.0 that you had to grab in from your classroom to bring home to teach that month of April and May? And they had to write that down. And they didn't know what we were going to do, but as we got playing, we're like, we're going to play Pictionary with whatever that word was that you drew or you wrote. And so it's just a way for everybody can see the same board, and we were shouting out answers. And so I'm going to give my best go at drawing what I had done.
The writing tool is it can be tricky.
Yeah. I need a better color. But just playing, like even this for community building would be great with kids. They can, it's not going to look like what it's supposed to be.
And they'll think it's fun, right? Like they'll find entertainment and humor in it.
I'm not an art teacher, but it was a document camera. But just something for when you're getting to know your kids and building community. You could have this in a Google Meet and take turns drawing some item, maybe share the item that the kids are going to draw, or they can pick what it is, just to kind of build community and get used to using the Jamboard, the tool, before you bring in content. Because if we're trying to teach kids how to use the technology and we're trying to teach content, it's just a lot of cognitive overload. And so having fun with the digital tools first and then bringing in the content, I think is really going to help our students succeed and sustain these 6 weeks of NTI.
Yes, Katie, I love what you said there. Completely agree. Like start off with the fun, with the morning meetings, the drawings and all that stuff. So then they're comfortable and they're excited about it. And then you can move to your content.
So we had a couple teacher tips that we just wanted to share since we had been using it. And as you play with it, you're going to find even more tips, I'm sure. But first, you want to make sure the Jamboard fits your needs. Don't be like, oh, that's so neat. They showed us this. I got to do it. Make sure that it fits your needs, because a lot of things Sarah and I first thought we might include in this, we're like, that really works better in slides. So you want to make sure that your technology that you're using actually fits your instructional goal. Then also when you're letting students get on the slides or on the Jamboard and they're like, I don't see what you're talking about, Miss Wolf, you can click on right up here and I can bring the frame down and I can see what slide every student is on. So I did a screenshot here when Sarah and I were planning this, and she was on slide 17. So if students aren't on the right slide, just like in Google, wrong slide. If they're on the wrong Jamboard slide, you can tell where they are and you can direct them back to the right one. It's not as easy if you let's say you assigned students, everybody had a different slide in Jamboard, it's not as easy to see everybody working at the same time as it is with Google Slides. But it can be done because you can see where they are and click on theirs. Up here, you can see if somebody was working on different slides, if that makes sense. And then the other tip we had was you can assign the Jamboards in classroom and students can work collaboratively on the same Jamboard, or you can assign the Jamboard to each student just like you do with another assignment, just giving them each a copy. And also when you're making Jamboards, if you want to rearrange the order, it's just as easy as just clicking and moving it.
And Katie, do you want to click on there for the duplicate real quick too? Like if you make one and they each have a copy?
Like if we wanted everybody to do, and I think I wonder, I could just click on duplicate and it makes another one. So I could assign, hey, Sarah, I need you to write what you're wondering and thinking on slide 16. And Miss Reynolds, you need to be writing yours on 17. Right. And if you have class numbers, you could automatically like kids know, I'm always slide 16. I'm always slide 17.
Right. Yeah. Because I know a lot of people use those numbers. And of course, with anything that we do in teaching life, especially starting the beginning of the school year, you're just going to have to spend your time working on teaching those expectations. So you could do like the fun stuff and then you're all practicing together. You could make a Screencastify video of yourself teaching and manipulating things for parents and students to watch. So just work with them and make it fun and entertaining at first. And then it will get easier, just like any of our other new digital tools that people and students are using.
And one thing I noticed in Elaine's earlier today, she was talking about using Jamboard when you're recording sessions using Screencastify. And that's something that I had not done, even though I was using Screencastify and I was using Jamboard, I was not using them together. So I definitely will be trying that in 2.0. And if you like this, I know that they also shared, there's templates for lots of different types of Jamboards that was shared in the earlier session today.
Yeah, so don't feel like you have to start from scratch. And at the end of this lesson, like we said, we're going to share ours. So you can, take the link and make yourself a copy and utilize it and change it to fit your needs as well. And you can also link a Jamboard within Google Slides or Google Classroom. So say you have an assignment, right? Say you're working on something and you want them to go to a Jamboard. You want them to go to a whiteboard as part of your assignment. Just link the Jamboard link like you link other links within your slides. So you can kind of do it as both. If you're doing it with like a small group or with a reading and morning meeting, you could split your screen. So you have like your Jamboard on one side and you could see your students working on the other, if that's something that you want to utilize as well. But we hope you enjoyed our session. We hope you had fun and learned some new ideas. And if you need us, you can check us out and we can put our emails in there and you can let us know if you have any questions. And we are glad that you came today.
So, ladies, you did a great job. Sorry, go ahead.
I was trying to look at the chat and see if there was any questions.
I know. I was trying to go back too and it was hard. So if anybody had a question or something, please let us know.
The one I wanted to bring up was I had put in the chat earlier that somebody had asked for a limit, and I said, 25 at once, and somebody said they thought it was 50. And so I double checked with my team just to be sure, and the limit right now that we know of is 25. If you go over that, you're going to see some issues and probably people dropping out. So be aware
One of the workarounds that Sarah and I had talked about is either if you're going to have kids just do like the four corners, have them get in, move their name, and then get out. Or a little more work on the teacher end is open a copy of the Jamboard and put two side-by-side Jamboards. And if you're 1 through 15 in the class, you're on Jamboard 1. And if you're 16 through 30 in the class, you're on Jamboard 2.
Yeah. Yeah, just to to manipulate. Or like upper grades, a lot of you have more than 25 students. So that might be a workaround. And hopefully they'll update it and put it back up to 50 for the limit, especially just for us JCPS people.
It would definitely be helpful, especially if people are saying they're doing small breakout rooms, things like that. That's a great idea for lowering your numbers on them. But thank you, ladies. It's amazing. Jamboard is an awesome tool. The more people see it, more likely they are to use it, and great ideas with it. So thank you very much.
You. Well, thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Stay tuned for
I want to give both of you guys a huge shout out for coming on here, the only teachers of the day, to show your faces. I know it could be scary. I'm here too.
Well, thanks.
There were so many people saying thank you, and they appreciate seeing real classroom stuff. So it was awesome that you guys could share. And they want your presentation. So share that on Twitter. Use the hashtag.
We didn't share it because of the 50 participant rule or the 20%.
Yeah, we were worried, that it would shut down on us or something.
You want to chase icons across the screen.
Yeah. So is it in the chat, James, or should we place it in there, the link?
If you would get the link and email it to Kathleen.
Okay, we have emailed
it. She'll put it on the schedule with all the other ones.
Okay, perfect.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And stay tuned for Rebecca's, Miss Reynolds. See ya.
Guys.
Bye.
All right, and up next, our final show of the day is going to be our new teammate on digital innovation, Miss Rebecca Reynolds. And she's going to be discussing some new features out there, specifically in Google Meet and having breakout rooms. Super fun, super useful.
All right,
I'm Jim
let
Unger,
me know.
by the way. Sorry, Rebecca. I'm Jim Unger with Digital Innovation. In case you missed that earlier.
Hi, guys. Obviously, you remember me from earlier. Still same outfit. So I'm here with breakout rooms with Google Meet, and we have 4 tools that we're going to use to make this work: Google Slides, Google Meet, Google Classroom, and the new little guy. Some of you guys have already understood what that is the Mute tab extension. And James, we're good. You can see I'm trying to look on my other screen. Okay. I know it's the end of the day, guys, and our numbers are dwindling, but power of pause, this will be up later in case you miss out. So everyone has seen this image going around Twitter with what is coming to Google Meet. We're getting teased because it says late 2020 and nothing has been seen to when exactly these are going to be released. So we have, I have kind of done some research of how we can use that breakout room tool before they release it. So stay tuned, I'm going to go through that. But these are just some other tools that will hopefully be released soon. I promise if you check the Digital Innovation Twitter, we will be sharing out everything and anything when that's released. But right now, I don't know. We don't know, but we will let you know, Okay, so those national quality online teaching standards, we've been talking about those all day. We're going to drill it into you guys. So we've got 3. I kind of like to stick to simple. For this tool, for using Breakout with Google Meets, we've got community building. That's huge with our backpack skills. They're creating expectations for appropriate interactions among learners. So I know a lot of you are nervous about doing these, and I've created some tools and some graphics for you to use in your classroom when you create these groups so that we're making sure students are doing things correctly and safely. Next is that digital pedagogy, or Goji. I don't know which one I like to say. I switch back and forth. So using those tools to support communication, productivity, collaboration, analysis, presentation, all of those perfect with this tool that we're going to use today. And then instructional design, the teacher designs learning experiences that use technology to efficiently engage learners. So this is really specific to Breakout into those small groups and have really great discussions and teamwork. So hopefully I can make this happen in 2 steps for you guys. So step 1, we're going to create a unique Google Meet code or URL from Google Classroom. We all have our link code, and I'm just going to show you guys a really simple way to create those links quickly, because you might make a lot of different tools with that. So step 2 is going to be Google Slides and then Google Meet. We're going to share a set of Google Slides with a unique Meet link. So you can use those as your breakout room. So there's a few different ones. So I'm going to start with how to create those. I'm sorry, my dog is going crazy. Too bad I'm not on Screencastify, so I can't edit that out. So 3 steps for this. So when you're in your Google Classroom and you see that code, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse, probably. It starts with what? Okay, it starts with meet.google.com/lookup, and then there's some specific code to your classroom. So what is going to happen is you just take that and you're going to add to the end of that your unique code. So when you go into Google Meet, and I'll show you guys really quick. Normally what you do is press this join or start and you type in a code right here, whatever you want. But what we're going to do, is make those super quickly. So what you can see I did is I created our first 3 room links, and I put group 1 digital learning channel, so something super specific so that nobody else has it, and then group 2, group 3, just like that. And then I'm going to show you guys how to make room 4 live right now, just so you can kind of understand what I'm talking about. I take that first section, pop it in there, and then I just start typing. So this is going to be group 4 digital learning channel, and then I'm going to go to that. Oops. And I've got a Meet right there. So then I like to link that back here. And if I'm going too fast, let me know. Now I've got all of those, and I'm going to copy that for the next portion. So that's how I have those 4 rooms. Now you can make as many rooms as you want, but start off small just so you can manage them. So I created this. I stole part of it from someone online. Sharing is caring, guys. And all I've done is I've linked each room up at the top for you. And then I'm just going to take that same link that I took for the room 4 that I created in slide 7. And now this would be a slide that you can share with your students, and you can edit this right here and put who would be in there. So we got Bob or whoever. I've never had a student named Bob, but so you can quickly share this out, move this around, add more rooms, whatever you need. So managing those rooms, I know that can be kind of scary, creating all these different rooms and having students pop into those. So one tool that I really like, because as you can imagine, if you have 4 Google Meets happening at once, there's absolutely no way that you can break apart and really listen in on those conversations, because you're going to hear everybody at once. So what I really love is this Google extension mute tab, and it has 5 stars, which is kind of rare for some extensions that I've seen. And it literally, once you download it, and it's linked when you click on this, if you see it turns into a little pointer arrow. All you do is once it's on there, I have it next to my 2 faves, Read&Write and Screencastify. You click that on that tab. So I took a screenshot when I was doing this earlier, and you click it and it'll put an M if it's muted. So that tab that you have opened of your Meets, so you'll have all your Meets open when you're doing this, will mute so that you can go in and listen to one and then unmute and listen to another, which is super nice. So when you go in my presentation, you can grab that right there and download it super quick. Easy peasy. So there's my weird face kind of showing a way that I like to break apart the room. So I'll open up all those Meet links, and then I will make the boxes kind of small so that I can look in and kind of see what they're doing. I like doing it that way. Some people like to just have it as tabs like this and go back and forth and toggle in between. But I really like popping them out and looking inside. So you can do it that way and manage them like that. So that's really cool. Okay, so student directions. This is something that I really wanted to make sure that you guys had stuff for modeling to your class and really just taking this away and putting it into your Google Classroom. So here's a graphic that I like to go over with students with Google Meet. I'm sure we're going to have to remind them all the different tools once we start back up. They probably haven't used it in a while, unless they did Summer League, which shout out, I love that program. So that's for you guys to share. I'm sure you kind of know all of these, but it's really great to have a graphic on hand to be able to tell them different parts. So some student tips that you can share with them when you start out these breakout sessions. So try using the chat feature instead of shouting out over each other. Students will just get into a Google Meet and start shouting out at each other. They're not really familiar with muting and taking turns, which that even happens in our Google Meets, so it's fine. They'll learn. Follow your role. So I'm going to go over some suggested roles you can give your students for when they break out, and be a leader for your group. So this is really great for enforcing backpack skills and really working together. So encourage others to join the conversation if they are being really quiet. I know sometimes I can get quiet when I'm concentrating and someone will shout me out in the chat. What do you think? So teaching them that kind of language would be great too. And then this one is big. Remember, I will be in your meets watching over you. So just like Russ said, that big brother aspect, you're watching them to be appropriate and make sure they're staying on task, which is really great when you pop out those different toolbars, or windows, sorry. So I created this for you guys to assign some roles when you pop out in Google Meet for the breakouts. So we have the questioner. They prompt and start thinking of questions. You could give them a sheet of questions to think about, just some who, what, where, when, why type of things, whatever assignment you're working on. A timekeeper, that's super important. I need one of those for this right now. Still at 15 minutes, we're good. So that would be someone checking in, seeing when you had to be done, and checking back in with the teacher. The reporter, that person would talk about what happened in your discussion, and maybe you guys all come back together and kind of share out at each one. I mean, you guys have done this in your classroom plenty of times, I'm sure, but it's just completely new when you're doing it virtually. Material manager, I think that becomes pretty new once you're doing virtually. That's why I kind of put that mouse click. They can go in, be that screen sharer, go grab whatever they need from their Google Drive that you've shared with them or from Google Classroom that you've shared with them, and giving that one specific person a job just to make sure everyone has what they need. They could be the person that provides links to stuff in the chat in Google Meet. So if I were in this group, I want that job. Or maybe the next one. So encourager, I think this job would be super fun just because they would be able to get their group started and really make sure that they are staying on task. I wanted to call this a leader or the captain, but I think that kind of creates a fight for who wants to be the leader. So encourager can kind of be the leader and make sure everybody is on task and they're moving forward. So I broke it down and made a smaller version so that you can pop in each student name in there. Same as your groups before. Maybe you could say, okay, I'm gonna give you 2 minutes, put your name in, the one that you want. Sometimes that can get messy, but if you have honest kids, that would be fun so they can pick which one they wanna be and make their own groups. Sorry, getting a drink of water. So you can just copy and paste this slide and make as many groups as you want, because I know we have more students than this in our classes. So that's just a resource that I wanted to create for you guys. And then here's another graphic for tips for successful video calls, just something else that you can really hone in with your students. I think that a lot of us during our session earlier were really wanting that mute all in Google Meet. So it's really important to talk to your kids about muting your mic, staying engaged, and trying to look into your camera. I tend to look at everybody else, but it's really hard to make that eye contact. I know when we're doing our defenses and things like that, we want students to make eye contact. So it's kind of a different world where we have to look into a little circle. So I love this to share out with your students so they know what's going on. And this is also by Matt Miller. I love him. He's the best. And then your Google Meet session secure tips. So this is already shared out to you guys a few times, but if you have any questions or can't remember something, this is so awesome just to have as a resource. I think the one thing that I always am checking in on is the recording rules. So just to make sure that we're not recording when we shouldn't be and sharing that out in different ways. So this is also linked. If you can tell when you kind of hover over something, if your mouse turns into a little pointy guy, that means there's probably a link there and you should see what's inside. So that's linked there for you guys. And I did go kind of fast, so I guess I'm going to have to check on our questions. So if you need to know anything more, there are these 3 videos for Google Meet out right now, and then we're going to have more videos ready for you as we take these apart, our sessions today. And then we will also have family videos for everything else that we did with today as well. So I'm gonna go back out. And if anyone wants me to, I can actually show you how I take each one of these rooms and break them out into smaller boxes if we have time, or we can go home.
You absolutely have time, Rebecca, and a couple people are asking to see some of it over again, so that'd be great.
Okay.
Other questions, lots of people have been hopping in back and forth, having a great discussion in there. Russ is in there, Kyle's in there, helping with the questions. So you have at it.
All right, I'm gonna show how I made this link again. So I just took this basic first part of your URL. That's always going to be the same. And then I just pop in whatever I want my unique code to be. Make sure it's pretty unique. I know that I'm literally making the same one again. So we're going to call it number 2.
Hey, Rebecca.
Yes.
Just to be clear, you're not showing anything that requires a student to have an extension on their device, correct?
Nope. They don't. The kids don't need anything. You don't need anything except for that mute tab extension.
And that just kind of helped with muting individual Google Meets.
Yeah,
Not all
for
of them.
you as the teacher. You as the teacher are going to want mute tab. I don't think the kids would need it unless they're in multiple meets, which I don't think they would be.
Right, but we can't push out extensions, and we can't ask students to get extensions either. They can't install them under a JCPS account. So I just want to make that clear for everyone.
Okay, cool. Yeah, guys, we can't do that right now. So I just copy that link and then, I'm in an old meet, paste that. And it's going to take me to my new meet link. And then it shows you right here, there's your code as well. So if you want to just say type in that code, that's fine. But I'm all about like click and go. So I take the link up at the top. So I copy that. And then I go back to our room. And then I link that, even though, it is already linked there. So you can just apply. So it's a full link. So then I took all of these and I linked them here. So those are those same links. Oh, my allergies are so terrible, guys. So you're gonna pop into those. Oops. Oh, you might have to mute me. I'm gonna have a coughing attack. All right, I'm good. So each of those, I linked here for the kids. So they're just going to click those super quick and it'll pop open the meet. So they only have to open one meet. But what I'm going to do, if I'm the teacher and I'm going to do these breakout sessions, I want to open them up. And I'm sorry if this is kind of fast. before the lesson. So this is 4 rooms. And I'm going to make sure I join them first. You as the teacher want to join first.
Good job. Yep, somebody had asked that, and I'm glad you addressed that.
Yeah, I'm glad I have time to show everybody. So I'm going to mute myself, join now. I'm going to do that on each of these. You guys are going to get dizzy. And I promise this is easy. So as I said before, you're going to have these tabs up here. But what I like to do is pull them out. So then once the kids start getting into them, I'm going to make sure that I mute. And it'll just put that little M right there, each one. So this one's not muted, no M. And then let's say that I'm going to start with this one and work with these kids. So I'll keep that one unmuted so I can listen to them. And then I'm going to pull out a tab so it is all by itself. And then I'm going to make it smaller. And I know this is kind of, it's weird looking at myself a lot, but I think your kids are really going to enjoy doing breakouts. So you can do that and make it small so that you have it with each of them. It's just user preference, or you can click back and forth. Oops. So I don't know, Jim, did anybody have any more questions or of something they wanted to see?
Somebody was just asking, making sure that, yeah, do you have to have a teacher in the room first? Another thing I was thinking of is maybe it wouldn't have to be you. Maybe you could have another teacher already in there if you have some resource teachers you work with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking this would be perfect for small group guided reading. If you have your ECE teacher or an ESL teacher in your classroom, because I know during NTI, those teachers are kind of wanting something to do. So they would probably love to pop in to all those meets. So again, that mute tab, you can unmute and then you'd be able to talk with your kids and listen to what they're doing. So that was that. And then I think that's it. So hopefully we get the rest of these tools soon, and we can do some trainings on those. But right now, that's the reality of breakout rooms, is that we just kind of have to break out all by ourselves.
So then there was another great question, was at the end, let's say you've done your small reading groups, can you have them all come back to the larger classroom together?
Yes. So when you're on your Google Classroom, you could tell them everybody meet back on the Google Classroom Meet. So you have that same consistent classroom code. So when you're in your class, you could just tell them always to go back and go to your Meet link in your Google Classroom. So that can be your home base or your home room, as you would call it, just because they're going to be bombarded with so many different little group links. So that would be really great for them to all come back and have that discussion and have those recorders share out what was going on in their breakout rooms. Because if you get a lot of breakout rooms and it's just a quick little discussion really quick, it can be difficult to go in and check in with everybody.
Yeah, I like that. So have a time, or just kind of type into each of the chats in each of the rooms it's time to go back to the main base, send them back. Could you show real quick, because a lot of people are asking what that extension is, could you actually just type in Chrome Store and show them what it looks like, the icon, and where you got it from? Thank you.
All right, so here it is. It's mute tab. We've got, and once I clicked download, I didn't have to do anything, and it just pops up here. And Kathleen shared a really cool extension. Extensity is another one, if you guys, because we have so many, that will pop up. She told me about this one to turn them off, which I really love. I'm going to have to get that organized. But that is mute tab. And it literally just mutes a tab on Google Chrome. So you have to make sure you're on a Chrome browser if you're going to get that, if any of you are having trouble.
Hopefully everybody's using the Chrome browser because of all the tools and things we're using in the district. Nobody's on that crazy Edge or Brave or something like that, Opera. Lots of browsers out there, but definitely for education purposes, you'd want to stick to Chrome. All right, and I think that's about it. Now, I think we covered all the questions, or people got them answered in the chat, and we threw some up there on the big screen. You did a great job, Miss Rebecca Reynolds. I'm so glad.
I'm glad we had some people watching.
Oh, yeah, some people. Yeah, we have 400 people watching. Yeah, loving the tools. It's amazing, especially this late in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you want to add, or are you good to go?
I don't think so. If you guys need help or have questions, definitely reach out to us. We'll work through this together until we get those new tools from Google. But I'm really excited to see you guys try this out with your kids in the next few weeks. But that's it. And have a great night.
All right. Thanks, Rebecca. And as she said, absolutely going to have a good night. What I would like to show, and I don't have it up, is the schedule. But I can tell you tomorrow we have a full day of training. Now, the last 2 days we've been backed out a little bit in the mornings, kind of giving that time for schools to get their trainings and their meets in before we started and kicked in, so people weren't trying to leave and come to our amazing trainings on the Digital Learning Channel. But tomorrow we go full steam. We'll be starting at 8:30 and going all the way to 4 o'clock with a half-hour break for lunch. That is it. So we will have loads of training. We got literacy footprints, facilitating shared reading, Gale for education and for students in the morning, Edmentum Exact Path for kids grades K through 12, Study Island after that, and courseware. All of those things just in the morning tomorrow, so full day there. After lunch tomorrow, we have the JCP reentry, how to address knowledge gaps, and that's with our own Lacey Eccles and Jenny Aberly, science people there. JCPS teacher backpack. If you haven't seen the teacher backpack, we all know about the student backpack. The teacher backpack is just an amazing page where all the pieces you could imagine having, links to a lot of the great resources we have here, are all tied together. Great resource, and they'll be talking about the teacher backpack, and that's my partner, Kathleen Receiver, working with Susan Price. The 5 basics after that with Dr. Carmen Coleman, Susan Price, Suzanne Kramer, Andrea Higdon, all together on that one, going over the 5 basics. We've had that one. I saw it on the principal day last week on Friday. It's a great session. Standards deconstruction and unit planning. And then, of course, as we had yesterday, JCPS curriculum frameworks and instructional frameworks from that team with Kramer, Suzanne Kramer, Maddie Shepard, and Joe McKim. So as I said, so much more going on tomorrow. Stop back. If you haven't, hit that subscribe button down at the bottom. Throw some thumbs up, some likes on our videos. Let us know you're loving the training. And we will see you back. Thank you for joining us. End stream.